Unmute. I realized I don't have a clip from Wuthering Heights of the intro, so I gotta find something good. The movie isn't out yet, so I can steal something from the trailer maybe. But I don't know if there's any like crazy moments in the trailer. I'll scan through the trailer later, and we'll check it out. How's it going, everyone? How's it going? Welcome to Wuthering Heights. The start of Wuthering Heights. I'm so excited. This is Pride and Prejudice. I gotta throw Pride and Prejudice on my bookshelf in a bit. Use Kate Bush video. What's that one? My dog just came in. My dog's excited for Wuthering Heights. The little Wes. All right, Pride and Prejudice. We got Lord of the Rings, and now we got the one and only Wuthering Heights. I should read this entire thing with a British accent. Yeah, Sarah, I feel like you're not alone. I feel like a lot of people like Lord of the Rings, the Lord of the Rings content. They like the Pride and Prejudice content. A little iffy about the Wuthering Heights. We'll see about it. We'll see. My dad is reading Wuthering Heights right now in prep for this. And he texted me and he's like, "Are you sure you want to read this one?" I'm like, "I don't know. We'll see." I'm really excited to read it, but I don't know how it's going to be very different, I think, from what we read. I really don't have crazy expectations. I think my only expectation is going to be maybe not more challenging of a read, maybe more challenging of a read. Probably more challenging of a read, but also a bit more like, I don't know the word for it. Longing, maybe? Like, gothic romance to me seems like Jane Austen is writing a social commentary. Like, she has her characters longing, but you don't necessarily feel that as people, like, reading. This one, to me, I feel like I'm going to feel this while I read. Like, there's going to be lines that are probably super dramatic. Maybe dramatic is the right word. Although Pride and Prejudice was so dramatic. So I don't know what I'm trying to say. I don't know what my expectations are. Like dark and gothic, yeah, but I'm trying to flesh what dark and gothic really means out. So we'll see. I'm guessing we're going to get a lot less people to the start of Wuthering Heights. We'll see. Maybe we'll get like 100 or so people watching and hanging out while we watch. Get ready for a slog. We got a big slog to get through. This is a big book. This is bigger than I thought it was going to be. Dialect reads are very challenging for you. Interesting. Nice, June. I'm pretty pumped. Excellent. I like that you like it because I feel like we have pretty similar tastes on books. Maybe. Hey, Wes, you got your pig? You got your little stuffed animal to comfort you while we read Wuthering Heights? I hope everyone has their tea. Yeah, everyone go get your tea. Go get some crumpets. What do they eat on the moors? Go get whatever you need. We're going to be just cozying up, reading 3 chapters of Wuthering Heights today. So yeah, go get some tea or something. I'm in the process at the moment of trying to reach out to brands to see if they'll sponsor some stuff that I do. And I want to do a tea company. Like, I want to get a tea company to be like, we will sponsor these videos. You just mention our tea once or twice. You know what I mean? Like, today's video is sponsored by Earl Grey from yada yada. Everyone go get it. I don't want to do that much sponsored stuff, but it'd be nice if I had a little bit more income from this. Yorkshire tea, for sure. Is that an actual brand, Yorkshire tea? That'd be great. Maybe I'll reach out to them. Black pudding. June, you didn't enjoy Pride and Prejudice? Wow, interesting. Okay, interesting. Oh, you're drinking Yorkshire tea right now. I like that. I got some chai. I'm in a chai mood this past month. Also, where I live currently, it is probably the coldest day that I've ever experienced in this area in my entire life. It is 10 degrees. With wind chill, I think they're saying it feels like negative 10, something like that. It is the windiest, coldest day, and we had a little bit of snow yesterday, and it just feels like the tundra. So, Wuthering Heights is one of your favorites ever. Let's go! I'm so pumped. Yeah, I think you're kind of right. I think the movie and the trailer is very different from people that have talked to me for how the movie is really going to be, or from how the book really is. So we'll see. I'm actually kind of excited to see the movie when we finish. To see, I'll get some thoughts and feelings on that. I'll probably publish I might do this later or maybe tomorrow. Watch the Pride and Prejudice movie and maybe do like a little quick reaction video to that. I hate cutting those up because those just take a long time to edit. So we'll see. But I don't even know what Yorkshire tea is. What is Yorkshire tea? Just like English breakfast tea or something? Like a black tea, green tea, red, white, herbal. Everyone, you can see Wes is back. It's like one of his first appearances in the video. It's a black tea, a strong black tea. I like a strong black tea. I'm just doing a lot of herbal tea lately because I need decaf tea. Can't have tea. If I do a morning stream, I'll have a little like black tea. But right now, just a decaf chai, which is a black tea anyway. So, you win some, you lose some. I'm gonna ask my my internet, what's the real feel? What's the real feel temp in my town? Negative 27 is crazy too. Man. Negative 15 by me. Negative 26 Celsius, which is crazy. Yeah, we're kind of the same. Negative 27 Celsius, negative 16 Fahrenheit here. That's what it feels like here. You tried listening to Wuthering Heights on audiobook while going for walks. Interesting. Could you not do it? Hey, Sarah, what's up? I struggle with listening to audiobooks at certain things. I can't listen. I don't think I could ever listen to a classic. I think they're too like. Maybe this is a weird note. Really, really well written books I struggle to listen to. Because I think in my head I'm expecting, like I want to read the words on the page. I could follow along with the story somewhat, but I like the idea of just like seeing the words and piecing it together in my own imagination. I'm not a great like book listener. I'll listen to just like random books. Like I listened to Project Hail Mary a few weeks ago. That was kind of a fun listen. Like just fun listens, like modern literature, just fun little random popular books. But yeah, everyone like the stream. 42 people here, 10 likes. We got to get that up to 40. Yeah, sometimes I do tandem too. Like if I'm reading a book, I like to re-listen to those chapters. Yeah, and if I listen, I do like to read along too. Like I don't, the act of passive listening to an audiobook is tough for me. Like I'm listening to Neil Gaiman's American Gods right now as I just take my dog for walks all the time. And I'm like a little lost in the story. I don't love it. It's a little strange. I don't think it's like the best written book ever. I don't like Gaiman's this interesting author to me. I've read Something at the End of the Lane by him. Did not like it that much. And then this is my second book from him, and I don't like it that much. The writing style is just weird, and I'm struggling following along in the story a little bit. It's just kind of like there's like dreams and visions and all sorts of weird stuff, and I don't really know what's real or not. Yeah, it feels like a hazy dream. Yes. Oh my gosh. Yes, that's exactly it. It's like a weird book to follow along with. Yeah, sometimes Game is a creep. I didn't even know that. Kendrick, what's up? You had your chamomile all ready to go, but your nephew wants to build a fort. Oh, well, that's even better. You still haven't read any Wuthering Heights. Okay, that's okay. Go build a fort. That's better than it's better, probably better than Wuthering Heights. That's a good memory. Interesting. He's a problematic writer. I didn't even know that. What is he? Why is he an issue as a writer? Oh, yikes! I didn't even know that. I don't think he's like an incredible writer. I think he gets like I think the in my mind people laud him as like one of the better authors alive today. I don't think he's great. He's not a great sentence writer. He's just like a very typical writer to me. Yikes, the claims against him are bad. Yikes. All right, well, let's stop talking about him now. Then I'm not enjoying that book all that much anyway, so there you go. But yeah, listening, like I don't know if I could listen to classics. In my head, whenever I'm listening to a classic, I feel like I actually just want to read the words on the page. I feel like there's a point to it where they were written so well, some of these sentences, that it's more enjoyable to read them and see them with your own eyes than it is to listen. Maybe that's just because I am not a great passive listener. Like unless I am listening while reading the book at the same time, I could do that. But if I'm listening in the car, there's too many distractions. If I'm listening on a walk, there's sometimes too many distractions. Yeah, that's kind of true. A lot of authors are a little bit of a bad eggs. There's a lot of issues that authors have. Your go-to is an actual printed book, but you like audio when you're driving. But I can't listen to really dense books when you drive. I'm the same, kind of the same. And I feel like classics are not like too dense, but like too rich to do audiobooks sometimes. Unless I really know the story. Like I would definitely re-listen to Pride and Prejudice now. Or just listen to it for the first time, but like reread technically. Or like dramatized versions are really good too. I like dramatized versions of stuff. It is so windy out right now. It is crazy. You guys might be hearing the wind. We were getting like 50-mile-per-hour gusts today or something. Tolkien Rants, what's up? Tolkien Rants, why is there a blue shield next to your name? Is that because you're a mod? Did they change the mod looks? That looks really cool. You're blue and there's a shield next to your name. That's cool. Wow. Wow. Look at that. The dramatized version of Dracula is helpful. Interesting. Okay, here's one question before we start. Wuthering Heights weather. Oh no, is it going to be cold and dreary the entire novel? I need something warm. Here is your, yeah, that's why I'm really excited to do this with you guys too, because you guys are going to help me. Here's my question. What's the hardest book that you've ever read? What is the most difficult book that you've ever read? And not just like plot wise of like you just couldn't get through this novel because like, the author's pretentious or whatever. What do you think is a genuinely good novel that is like a difficult read, but when you finished it, you were like, that was well worth it? That's a question before we start. We'll start our read in at 4:23. Interesting. Bleak House. Interesting. Gone with the Wind. You wish you were well read. I think all of us wish we were really well read. War and Peace, didn't finish it. You want to someday. Interesting. Pride and Prejudice was yours, June. Come on. Pride and Prejudice was you have to focus when you read that for sure. Sophie's World, Tale of Two Cities. I tried that when I was in high school and remember struggling every single line. So I'm curious what I would think today. Algebra 1. Yes, anything with a math or maths as you guys call it. The Idiot by Dostoevsky. Lana, do you think that book is good, or is it just like a hard read? Foucault's, how do you say that in French? Foucault's Pendulum took you 6 months to read, but was it good? Interesting. Great Expectations. Shakespeare's The Taming of the Shrew. Some Shakespeare is really great. Some Shakespeare is tough. You wanted something light after a lot of Pride and Prejudice and The Silmarillion last night, so you ended up with a dramatized version of Noel Straightfield's book about World War II evacuees. That does not seem light. It's a great book that was a difficult read. Interesting. Okay, love that. We'll get there soon. I do want to break into some Russians. Probably this year we'll do one or two. Crime and Punishment, but you wouldn't say you were glad to read it. Okay, interesting. We're gonna do Brothers Karamazov. I think Moby Dick is gonna be the long read for this year. That's in my head. Just I can't get off of Moby Dick. But I think in maybe next year our long read for that year will be Brothers Karamazov. Because there's so many people in my life who say that is the greatest book of all time. The Sound and the Fury fried your brain. I think I remember picking it up in a library and trying like a paragraph and was like, no, I can't do this. Madame Bovary. I hear that's a tough one. Ooh, what's the most emotional book that you guys have ever read? That's a good one. Sunset Song, never heard. Michael, what's up? You haven't missed much. We're just talking about the hardest book that you've ever read. We're going to start reading Wuthering Heights. I'm just delaying because I'm waiting for my tea to cool down a little bit because I can't really take really hot tea. Any of you guys can drink tea when you just immediately pour it after boiling? That is insane that people can do that. My little old tongue does not like that. I cannot wait to reread Anna Karenina. Anna Karenina was one of the only classics that I read a long time ago. I read Anna Karenina in college because a professor recommended it. I remember one of my professors, her husband was our assistant soccer coach. So we used to go over to their house and play like Dutch Blitz all the time. And I really respected her because she was a teacher that really like drew a lot out in me. I was a really lazy student until I took classes from her and I became like a good student. And she really helped me along. And she had Anna Karenina on her bookshelf, but she had Anna Karenina split in 3 books. She took a scalpel and broke the spine and just cut the book into 3 sections. And I said, why would you do that? And she goes, because it's a book and I didn't want to drag the entire thing around with me. And I just wanted to drag it around in thirds. So she took a third of it and would just carry that around with her when she was reading it. It's like, that is crazy. But I was inspired to read that when I was in college from her, so I read it, and I was floored by how good it was. I loved it. It's your 5th favorite book. I love that. Michael, you have a great list. So I did that, and then The Count of Monte Cristo, and both of those are some of the only classics that I read. Great Expectations is the other one. And I loved Count of Monte Cristo, and I loved Anna Karenina. Great Expectations I liked. I don't remember a lot of Great Expectations. I remember there was like a gravedigger, and there was Pip, and there was a jilted bride or something. Ralph Ellison's The Invisible Man. Interesting. I've heard that is like a tougher read. I've heard some of I've heard some. Why can't I think of her name? She wrote Toni Morrison. I've heard some Toni Morrison is really hard to read. Yeah, Lace and Ledger. Thank you. Only 20 likes. 63 people watching. How dare you guys? Just kidding. Les Mis can be tough to get into, but it's awesome. I've heard that. I tried to read the unabridged version of that a long time ago because a friend was reading it, and I think I quit after a few chapters. I remember there was one really good moment in the beginning of that novel with the priest talking about how beauty can be just as useful as Like a flower garden can be just as useful as a vegetable patch, even more so. Like the beautiful can be useful. Something like that. It was a really cool line. I was like, oh wow. Okay, when I'm looking at my Wuthering Heights, one second, let me take a sip of tea. Ooh, that is perfect. When I'm looking at my Wuthering Heights book, there is a huge section of this. Well, not a huge section, but like almost like probably like 30 pages of just prefaces. Preface of the 1850 edition. Biographical notice of Ellis and Acton Bell. There's a genealogy. That genealogy might come in a lot of handy. There's a lot of dates. Chronology of Emily Bronte's work. There's notes. There's an introduction. There is, I don't know, preface. This is the copy. I'm doing the Penguin Classics one. I'm just drinking some chai today. You just finished writing a 100,000 word Western novel that will appeal to readers of... Wow. Michael, that is incredible. I love that. I like that you guys always like start campaigns of like the video. You guys are the best. Real quick. Oh, okay. Everyone, we're going to start reading. Sorry, I said we're going to start reading right now, but let me ask one more question because I'm trying to figure out how to structure the channel. The idea of doing more than one video, sometimes it works because they're 12 hours apart. I think that can sometimes be a bit exhausting. Wes is a little spooked. Like, I don't want to have viewer fatigue where you feel like you need to catch up if you miss things, even though the videos are really short. I think that's the good thing about some of the things that I do. The videos that I have are really short, so like you can kind of watch them quick. But I'm considering just doing one video a day, and any extra video that I do, I'm considering just making it members, so it just doesn't get overwhelming for people. But I don't know. I'm still mulling that over in my head. I do want something for members that they can have that's like more like you're a member of the channel and you get rewarded. Yeah, I really like making the short videos. That's why this channel is not going to ever, do crazy well monetarily, because short videos don't make a lot of money on YouTube. But I don't care because I just really like making short videos. Like, real quick thoughts on this. I feel like that's just the theme of this channel. It's going to be me making a bunch of videos every single day. Hey, relax. It's our neighbor downstairs. Wes thinks our neighbor is coming upstairs. Yeah, that's what it'd be. It'd be, Wes, hey. It's just our neighbor downstairs. Relax. Yeah, it'd be the unhinged thoughts for members only. Honestly, that's a great title for the members videos. Unhinged thoughts. Maybe I could do a whole different series on that. Yeah, YouTube is a weird thing too. It doesn't really always know what's best. Fully agree on that. But we're just gonna keep plowing along. Yeah, it is. That is. I could go on a long rant about that right now. YouTube is pushing out a lot of short videos, or shorts, not really short videos, because I have short videos, but they push shorts. People go to YouTube for long stuff. Like, YouTube is trying to rebrand to be TikTok, but they need to just stick with being YouTube. That is driving me crazy. Wuthering Heights, aka generational trauma. Are you guys all ready? All right, we're going to read in 2 minutes. We're going to start. I feel like we need to have a timer. Timer until doom. You're going to make pizza dough and cookies during this. Oh, what a good night or afternoon or morning, wherever you are. What a good day. Yeah, I like that this is just like a book club too. We're just kind of hanging out, talking about books. That's just what I want this channel to be. Mm-mm-mm. I am not a professor. I had dreams of being a professor once, but alas, I am not. I still would love to go back for like a PhD in English literature. But maybe that'll come down the line. Maybe I'm getting too old for that. I'm 35. I would just do that just for my own pure enjoyment. I'm getting an honorary PhD from you guys. I'll need it. There's a genealogy in the beginning of my book, so I will keep that dog-eared. Do you guys dog-ear books? Do you think that's good or bad? Well, okay, I will say this. PhD and enjoyment probably don't go in the same sentence unless you're doing something that you are not working toward like a career. Like I would do a PhD in English literature and just do it over, I mean, you have to do it in a certain time frame, but I would just take it slow and just enjoy it because you're just like sitting and reading books and just analyzing and writing. It's kind of like I mean, not really what I'm doing right now because I'm not really writing dissertations, but yeah, I've always loved literature. Wrote a lot on Marilyn Robinson, who is probably one of my favorite authors. But you know, you can't do a lot practically with a PhD in English literature. But who cares about the practicalities? All right, guys, we're gonna get reading. I guess this is like the original. It looks like it was printed on an old printing press. I like that they did that. Wuthering Heights, a novel by Ellis Bell. That was her pen name, Ellis Bell. That's a cool pen name. I actually totally agree, Michael. Dog ear is bad. I will say I do this where I will get the cheapest copy of a book imaginable. And that is the book that I can demolish. And then sometimes, depends on the book, I'll get a nicer version. And that's like my trophy book. If I really like it though. I did that with Lord of the Rings. I might do that with Pride and Prejudice. I'm going to send an email out to Folio Society to see if they'll sponsor, to see if they'll want to run ads on this channel or on the Lord of the Rings channel. Hey, you guys make really nice books. Do you want to give me some? And I'll say, hey, this is a cool book. We're a bunch of book snobs, but not at the same time. We're like good book snobs. All right, I'm delaying because I don't know if I'm ready for this. But here we go, guys. This is Wuthering Heights, a novel by Ellis Bell in 3 volumes. Volume 1. London. Thomas Codley Newby is the publisher. Is it going to give me... I'm sure it's going to give me all 3 volumes in here, but it's interesting that it was split up into 3 different volumes here. It's not split up into 3 volumes in my book. It is just one long story. Okay, how many chapters? Oh, let me just check how many chapters there are. We have X. And we didn't know they're Roman numerals. I think the last chapter is XX. Is it 20? 20 chapters in this book? I think that's 20. This is the first time I'm reading Wuthering Heights. Let me mute the mic again and clear my throat because I don't want to clear it really loudly. Excuse me. Sorry, that was gross. Mandela, I'm glad I'm on your TV, and I'm sorry that I'm huge. All right, here we go. This is chapter 1 of Wuthering Heights. 1801. There's a footnote on the first thing. What the heck? Where are the endnotes in this? Is it in the beginning of the book? No. Notes on the text. Notes. Here we go. No, biographical notes. Oh, here we go. 1801. There is a remarkable exactitude of chronology in the complex backward and forward movement of the narrative. Although the specific year is mentioned only 3 times throughout the novel, as C.P. Sanger has pointed out in the meticulous essay, The Structure of Wuthering Heights, there are a considerable number, perhaps nearly 100, indications of various kinds to help us. Intervals of time, ages of characters, the months, the harvest moon, the last grouse, and so forth. And we learn, incidentally, that the younger Catherine's birthday was on the 20th of March. Okay, great. Thank you. Didn't really need a note about that, but I appreciate it. 1801. I have just returned from a visit to my landlord, the solitary neighbor that I shall be troubled with. This is certainly a beautiful country. In all England, I do not believe that I could have fixed on a situation so completely removed from the stir of society. A perfect misanthropist's heaven. And Mr. Heathcliff and I are such a suitable pair to divide the desolation between us. A capital fellow. He little imagined how my heart warmed toward him when I beheld his black eyes withdrawn so suspiciously under their brows as I rode up, and when his fingers sheltered themselves with a jealous resolution still further in his waistcoat as I announced my name. "Mr. Heathcliff?" I said. A nod was the answer. "Mr. Lockwood, your new tenant, sir. I do myself the honor of calling as soon as possible after my arrival, to express the hope that I have not inconvenienced you by my perseverance in soliciting the occupation of Thrushcross Grange. I heard yesterday you had some thoughts." All right, so give me, who's the landlord? So Charlotte is the main character right here. Wait, what's the main character's name? Not Charlotte. What's her name? We don't know yet, but Mr. Heathcliff is the landlord. Okay. Catherine. Okay, Kathy. Lockwood is the narrator. Okay, so excellent. So Lockwood is a narrator. Yeah, I'll get all this, but I just want to organize this in my mind. This is something that I always do when I read books on my own. I like to read the first chapter 3 times because I want to make sure the foundation of what I have is really, really strong so that I can enjoy it more. I don't know if I'm the only one that does that. So Mr. Lockwood is the narrator. Okay, so I thought Catherine was going to be the narrator. All right. A nod was the answer. We already read that paragraph. "Thrushcross Grange is my own, sir," he interrupted, wincing. "I should not allow anyone to inconvenience me. If I could hinder it. Walk in." The walk-in was uttered with closed teeth, and expressed sentiment. Go to the deuce. Even the gate over which he leant manifested no sympathizing movement toward the words, and I think that circumstance determined me to accept the invitation. I felt interested in a man who seemed more exaggeratedly reserved than myself. When he saw my horse's breast fairly pushing the barrier, he did pull out his hand to unchain it, and then sullenly preceded me up the causeway, calling as we entered the court, "Joseph, take Mr. Lockwood's horse and bring up some wine. Here we have the whole establishment of domestics, I suppose," was the reflection suggested by this compound order. "No wonder the grass grows up between the flags, and cattle are the only hedge cutters." Joseph was an elderly, nay, an old man, Very old, perhaps, though hale and sinewy. Lord, help us, he soliloquized, in an undertone of peevish displeasure, while relieving me of my horse, looking meantime in my face so sourly that I charitably conjectured he must have need of divine aid to digest his dinner. That's a great line. And his pious ejaculation had no reference to my unexpected advent. Okay, first little bit of note. I'm going to probably be comparing Jane Austen and Emily Bronte. Sorry about that, Emily. Emily Bronte. She likes her modifiers. There's a lot of adjectives and adverbs in here. I mean, Jane Austen did like modifiers as well, but a little bit less than this. Joseph was an elderly, nay, old man, very old perhaps, though hale and sinewy. Story not linear. Various unreliable narrator. Story within a story. It requires attention. Interesting. Okay. Oh, interesting. We're basically starting from the end and learned about the past in various ways. Okay, that's going to help me. That's going to help frame it in my mind a little bit. There are multiple characters with the same name, so watch out. Why do people do that? I guess it's true to real life, but... Wuthering Heights is the name of Mr. Heathcliff's dwelling. Oh, we got a name drop of the book already. Wuthering, being a significant provincial adjective, descriptive of the atmospheric tumult to which its station is exposed in stormy weather. Pure, bracing ventilation they must have up there, at all times indeed. One may guess the power of the north wind, blowing over the edge by the excessive slant of a few stunted firs at the end of the house, and by a range of gaunt thorns all stretching their limbs one way, as if craving alms of the sun. Happily, the architect had foresight to build it strong. The narrow windows are deeply set in the wall, and the corners defended with large jutting stones. There's a end note. Jutting stones. Although commentators have been unable to decide conclusively, it seems that Wuthering Heights was based on a yeoman's house called High Sunderland, to be found in the vicinity of Law Hill, the school near Halifax where Emily taught in 1838. She was a teacher. That's cool. For a discussion of significant similarities between the two buildings, see yada yada yada. Okay, thank you. Thank you. Wuthering Heights is just the name of the place. Before passing the threshold, I paused to admire a quantity of grotesque carvings lavished over the front, and especially about the principal door, above which, among a wilderness of crumbling griffins and shameless little boys, I detected the date 1500 and the name Hareton Earnshaw. I would have made a few comments and requested a short history of the place from the surly owner, but his attitude at the door appeared to demand my speedy entrance, or complete departure, and I had no desire to aggravate his impatience previous to inspecting the penetralium. The innermost parts or recess of a building, especially a temple. Weird. Never heard that word. One step brought us into the family sitting room, without any introductory lobby or passage. They call it here the house preeminently. It includes kitchen and parlor, generally, but I believe at Wuthering Heights the kitchen is forced to retreat altogether into another quarter. At least I distinguished a chatter of tongues and a clatter of culinary utensils deep within, and I observed no signs of roasting, boiling, or baking about the huge fireplace, nor any glitter of copper saucepans and tin colanders on the wall. One end, indeed, reflected splendidly both light and heat from ranks of immense pewter dishes, interspersed with silver jugs and tankards, towering row after row, and a vast oak dresser to the very roof. The latter had never been underdrawn. There's a lot of notes. Underdrawn, covered on the inside of the roof with boards or lath and plaster. So is this just down to the studs? Wait. The ladder. Interspersed with silver jugs and tankards, towering row after row, and a vast oak dresser to the very roof. Wait, help me understand this sentence. It says, one end indeed reflected splendidly both light and heat from the ranks of immense pewter dishes, interspersed with silver jugs and tankards, towering row after row, and a vast oak dresser to the very roof. Okay, so it's just like a little, yeah, huge roof beams, yeah. A big stone house, but just huge roof beams, and they don't, that's like all the style today. Okay, so you could just see the underside of the roof. Okay. So, is it Wuthering? Is this house in like disrepair? Is it like a leaky mess of a house? Like right now I'm picturing almost like Beauty and the Beast, the castle at Beauty and the Beast. She goes in and it's kind of nice, but it's a little creepy. I know it's Wuthering, but it's also Wuthering Heights is withering. In my head, it's kind of like falling apart a little bit. Just seems like it's less nice. There's no attic over this big open room. Interesting. Okay. So it's a little chillier in there. It's a very fitting day for this. The latter had never been underdrawn. Its entire anatomy lay bare to an inquiring eye, except where a frame of wood laden with oat cakes and clusters of legs of beef, mutton, and ham concealed it. Above the chimney were sundry villainous old guns, and a couple of horse pistols, and, by way of ornament, 3 gaudily painted canisters disposed along its ledges. The floor was of smooth white stone. The chairs high-backed, primitive structures painted green, 1 or 2 heavy black ones lurking in the shade. In an arch under the dresser reposed a huge, liver-colored bitch pointer surrounded by a swarm of squealing puppies, and other dogs haunted other recesses. Interesting. There's just a lot of dogs in this place. I kind of like this place already. Honestly, this is like a hipster's dream. Just a bunch of dogs, open ceiling, open concept, just one big open room, but it feels like a little bit of a hoarder's place. All right. Honestly, it's a fixer-upper. Right now, I'm very into this place. I like this place. The apartment and furniture would have been nothing extraordinary, as belonging to a homely northern farmer with stubborn countenance, and stalwart limbs set out to advantage in knee breeches and gaiters. Such an individual, seated in his armchair, his mug of ale frothing on the round table before him, is to be seen in any circuit of 5 or 6 miles along these hills, if you go at the right time after dinner. But Mr. Heathcliff forms a singular contrast to his abode and style of living. He is a dark-skinned gypsy in aspect, in dress and manners a gentleman. That is, as much a gentleman as a country squire. Rather slovenly, perhaps, yet not looking amiss, with his negligence because he has an erect and handsome figure, and rather morose. Possibly some people might suspect him of a degree of underbred pride. I have a sympathetic chord within that tells me It is nothing of the sort. I know by instinct his reserve springs from an aversion to showy displays of feeling, to manifestations of mutual kindliness. He'll love and hate equally, under cover, and esteem it a species of impertinence to be loved or hated again. Now, I'm running on too fast. I bestow my own attributes over liberally on him. Mr. Heathcliff may have entirely dissimilar reasons for keeping his hand out of the way. When he meets a would-be acquaintance, to those which actuate me, let me hope my constitution is almost peculiar. My dear mother used to say I should never have a comfortable home, and only last summer I proved myself perfectly unworthy of one. Real quick question. How big is Wuthering Heights? Like, in my head, initially, I was thinking this is like a Pemberley kind of place. Not the beauty of it, like a fallen down kind of Pemberley place. Like, it seems huge. Yeah, she loves description. Jane is sick of description. She doesn't describe things like in detail. This is like Tolkien levels of this description right here. I like sometimes. Envision a football field. Dang, okay. Not as big as Pemberley. Okay. The ground's probably not. It's a farmhouse. Okay. So, yeah, not as grand as Pemberley. You put layouts in the Discord. Love that. Love that. Are layouts for this book really important for knowing what's going on in the house? Nandela, I'm huge on your TV. I just saw that. Wuthering Heights. Sarah, just saw your comment. I think I'm reading the 1947 edition. I want to say. I saw a preface to the 1947. Wait, I gotta find this. I'm gonna scroll up. Wow, that's a long time. Okay, here we go. First floor. Oh, so it's big, but it's not huge. It's a nice farmhouse. It's a cool farmhouse. I like that. Okay. So it's big, but it's not huge. Like, he's got money, but like not like Pemberley money, you know? Okay, so this is just a nice farm. Really quick question too. The landlord situation right now. So, Heathcliff is the landlord. Mr. Lockwood. Wait. Oh, no. Mr. Heathcliff is the tenant. Mr. Lockwood is the landlord. Mr. Lockwood is grumpy. He's a grumpy old man. That's the other way. Hold on. Why am I confusing this right now? Mr. Lockwood is the tenant. Mr. Heathcliff is the landlord. Mr. Heathcliff is this grumpy old guy who lives in this house. So Heathcliff is the owner. So is Lockwood coming to rent the entire place? Like, what's he doing renting this place? Like, I feel like I need everything in Pride and Prejudice terms. Sometimes I don't understand like what is going on. Does Heathcliff have a massive property and he's just renting a section of this parcel? Like one house on like a massive parcel that he has? He's renting Thrushcross Grange. Okay, so he's not renting Wuthering Heights. Okay. Excellent. Thank you guys. This is helping me immensely right now. But they are at Wuthering Heights. He rents Heathcliff's second house. Okay, excellent. This is helping me a ton. How did Heathcliff get his fortune? That's my question in my head. He rented another place that Heathcliff owns. So they are at Wuthering Heights, just having a little conversation about this. Is he he's in the process of renting this, or is he? I mean, yeah, this is all probably read and find out. But I just want to make sure I didn't miss any details. And if it comes later, just say, read and find out, you big dummy. He just moved in. Okay, excellent. See, this is embarrassing because you guys are seeing my inconsistencies of reading a first chapter. I need to really get a grasp on the author's style. Like when I finish this stream, I'm going to go and reread this 3 times. Excellent. Thank you. Good to know I have someone with me. Thanks, gamer. Just keep reading. Okay. When I finish the stream, I'm going to go read this chapter 5 more times just so I can wrap my head around everything. It's a little bit more difficult of a read. I think I have to pay a bit more attention than I do in Pride and Prejudice. A little bit more serious of a story. A little more grim. And in Pride and Prejudice, we were laughing on the first page. I'm not laughing that much right now. All right, where are we? I prove myself perfectly unworthy of one. Wait, let me reread this. Mr. Heathcliff may have entirely dissimilar reasons for keeping his hand out of the way when he meets a would-be acquaintance to those which actuate me. Let me hope my constitution is almost peculiar. My dear mother used to say that I should never have a comfortable home, and only last summer I proved myself perfectly unworthy of one. What did he do last summer? While enjoying a month of fine weather at the seacoast, I was thrown into the company of a most fascinating creature, a real goddess in my eyes, as long as she took no notice of me. I never told my love. There's a footnote. I just gotta have my finger in these. There's a lot of footnotes in the beginning. Okay. Never told my love. Cross-reference the 12th night to. All right, I don't know what that is. Maybe that's a poem. I never told my love vocally. Still, if looks have language, the merest idiot might have guessed I was over head and ears. She understood me at last and looked a return. The sweetest of all imaginable looks. And what did I do? I confess it with shame, shrunk icily. I confess it with shame. Shrunk icily into myself like a snail, at every glance retired colder and farther, till finally the poor innocent was led to doubt her own senses, and overwhelmed with confusion at her supposed mistake, persuaded her mamma to decamp. What is decamp in this? To leave, to get out of there? Twelfth Night by Shakespeare. Okay, interesting. Thank you. Decamp just means leave. I'm gonna start using that word now. Decamp. Let's decamp. Poor guy too. He's just out here, Mr. Lockwood, just out here not smiling, just looking at girls. How old is Mr. Lockwood? Do we say? He's just out here looking at girls, and when he gets nervous, these people are like, okay, let's move away. By this curious turn of disposition, I have gained the reputation of deliberate heartlessness. How undeserved. I alone can appreciate. I took a seat at the end of the hearthstone opposite that towards which my landlord advanced, and filled up an interval of silence by attempting to caress the canine mother, who had left her nursery and was sneaking wolfishly to the back of my legs, her lips curled up, and her white teeth watering for a snatch. My caress provoked a long guttural gnarl. You better let the dog alone, growled Mr. Heathcliff in unison, checking fiercer demonstrations with a punch of his foot. She's not accustomed to be spoiled, not kept for a pet. All right, first indication. He doesn't keep dogs for pets. These are working dogs. I don't know what this guy is about yet. Mr. Heathcliff seems a little grumpy. Seems like a neighbor I don't want to have. You said not even the pooch likes Mr. Lockwood. Yeah. But he's making an effort. He's trying to pet it. He seems a little less grumpy than Heathcliff, Mr. Heathcliff. Then striding to his side door, he shouted again, "Joseph!" Joseph mumbled indistinctly in the depths of the cellar, but gave no intimation of ascending. So his master dived down to him, leaving me vis-a-vis the ruffianly bitch and a pair of grim, shaggy sheepdogs, who shared with her a jealous guardianship over all my movements. Not anxious to come into contact with their fangs, I sat still. But imagining they would scarcely understand tacit insults, I unfortunately indulged in winking and making faces at the trio. And some turn of my physiognomy so irritated madam that she suddenly broke into a fury and leapt on my knees. I flung her back, and hastened to interpose the table between us. This proceeding roused the whole hive. Half a dozen four-footed friends of various sizes and ages issued from hideous dens to the common center, and I felt my heels and coat laps peculiar subjects of assault. And parrying off the larger combatants as effectually as I could with a poker, I was constrained to demand aloud assistance from some of the household and re-established peace. Mr. Heathcliff and his man climbed the cellar steps with vexatious phlegm. Regarded as one of the four bodily humors and supposed when predominant to cause constitutional indolence or apathy. I don't think they moved 1 second faster than usual, though the hearth was an absolute tempest of worrying and yelping. This is weird. I don't know what to think about any of this. Just the dogs don't like him, but they don't seem like happy dogs. Yeah, dogs meant to be similar to the owner for sure. And it's interesting because if a dog doesn't like you, that's a bit worrying and you need to watch out. But there are dogs that are just so working oriented that they're not like friendly. He's an interesting owner too. Like, he seems to be okay with these dogs kind of chasing and like yelping after him. This is interesting. I really don't know what to think of this. As a dog owner and a lover of dogs, this is strange. Because he seems to understand his dog's behavior. Well, let me say this. If these dogs don't seem that harmful, the only reason I'm saying that is because if they were harmful and if they were to latch on, as an owner, he'd probably be running over. So either Mr. Heathcliff is a terribly unresponsible dog owner and these dogs are actually dangerous, or Mr. Lockwood is just not getting the dogs don't get a good vibe from Mr. Lockwood and he goes after him, and Mr. Heathcliff is over there kind of like rolling his eyes. And he's like, ugh, I have to deal with this. But he knows that they're not going to really attack. I feel like that's my understanding. I'm just gonna write not a dog guy, but he tries to be, but the dogs just don't like him. Yeah, Lockwood's making faces at them, so he's a bit weird. Lockwood is. I don't understand Lockwood right now. He's strange. All right, let's keep reading. Excuse me. Yeah, maybe he trained them to attack, but I don't think they were necessarily attacking. Doesn't seem like he trained them to do this, to be honest. Happily, an inhabitant of the kitchen made more dispatch. A lusty dame with tuckered up gown, bare arms, and fire-flushed cheeks rushed into the midst of us, flourishing a frying pan, and used that weapon and her tongue to such purpose that the storm subsided magically, and she only remained, heaving like a sea after high wind, when her master entered the scene. Okay, so again, don't know that much about Lockwood, but he doesn't seem in command of things. And I feel like the dog's gonna kind of sense his own fear a little bit. Like maybe that's why the dog's. This is like a weird dog psychology thing. Honestly, I might make a video about this, about from my own dog perspective, understanding my dog. Just what this guy is about based on the little that I know, but based on what the dogs think of him. There's a lot of random scenarios running through my head. Like, yeah, this is just weird. Like, because this lady comes in and she seems to command these dogs. Or maybe not command them, but she comes with a it says, and she used her tongue to such purpose that the storm subsided magically. Like the kind of person that can go in there and immediately command dogs. Like, she's an alpha. The dogs respect her. And dogs love, like, if you are a strong leader and a good alpha, a dog will respect you, even if like the dog doesn't necessarily know you. I think the dog can sense that. And so because Mr. Lockwood, immediately they almost sense he's like a weak person. So that's my take on Lockwood right now. Not a, like, if he walks into this room and there's someone who is in command and like has a like, I just keep thinking of, like, it's like a funny analogy. I keep thinking of my dad in this situation, who, outwardly doesn't care about like being an alpha that much. He's like a great guy. love him to death. If he walks into a room and there's a bunch of dogs here, those dogs will listen to him. He'll walk in, and if the dogs are jumping up, he'll command them and they'll stop immediately. It's the same thing that I do with other dogs. Like, I feel like I have like a good grasp on dogs like this. And like, there's people that you can just walk in and like command dogs, and like they will just listen. They'll understand you. It's a really, actually, excuse me. It's a really interesting way to open a novel like this, because you're sensing what the dogs sense early on, and you can make all sorts of deductions on this person. Incel lexicon. What do you mean? Alpha bro? I mean like alpha dog. That's dog language. Lockwood is the opposite of Heathcliff. Interesting. Who's Emily? Is Emily this lady? Emily Bronte. Sorry. Thank you. It's interesting because if she loved dogs, I can tell that she liked dogs. Because how she includes that in the beginning of the novel is actually fascinating for how you can get a grasp on these characters. Like Mr. Heathcliff, he might be grumpy, but he's in charge of things. Like, there are people who are dog owners that I know that they're grumpy and they're miserable, but they control their dog. And they're just like, there's a guy down the street from me, goes out, walks with a cigar every single time. His dog is a mess. but he controls his dog. And I'm like, okay, I respect that. His dog's not living like, super happy. His dog looks depressed all the time, but he controls his dog. This is so fascinating to me. Like, I just feel like I can go on a deep dive of this, which I'll probably do in a video. Okay, 1 second. Let me write this. Let me just write Lockwood. Anybody else keep thinking of Flint Lockwood? every single time I read Lockwood, I go, Flint Lockwood? Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs, anybody? All right, let's keep reading. Yes, from Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs. Great movie. This is Fright on Shoes. It's a great movie. All right, let's keep reading. Here we go. What the devil is the matter? He asked, eyeing me in a manner that I could ill endure after this inhospitable treatment. What the devil indeed, I muttered. The herd of possessed swine. There's a footnote by swine. I'm sure it's just going to say dogs. The herd of possessed swine. Luke 8:33. Interesting. There's a verse. He's quoting scripture. I like it. She seems like a detailed author. Okay, let me look up this verse real quick. Anybody have this verse on the top of their head that they can just copy paste? Sorry, we're taking lots of breaks. 8:33. Demons came out of the man and went into the pigs. And the herd of pigs rushed down the steep slope into the lake and drowned. Interesting. All right. A herd of possessed swine could have had no worse spirits in them than those animals of yours, sir. You might as well leave a stranger with a brood of tigers. They won't meddle with persons who touch nothing, he remarked, putting the bottle before me, and restored the displaced table. The dogs do right to be vigilant. Take a glass of wine? No, thank you. Not bitten, are you? If I had been, I would have set my signet on the biter. Sorry. See, he's such a showman. He wouldn't do that. He's weak to me. He's all bark, no bite. I'm going to use that. I'm going to make a video about that. From this line, all bark, no bite. Heathcliff's countenance relaxed into a grin. Come on, he said. You are flurried, Mr. Lockwood. Here, take a little wine. Guests are so exceedingly rare in this house that I and my dogs, I am willing to own, hardly know how to receive them. Your health, sir. I bowed and returned the pledge, beginning to perceive that it would be foolish to sit sulking for the miserable behavior of a pack of curs. Besides, I felt loath to yield the fellow further amusement at my expense, since his humor took that turn. He probably swayed my prudential consideration of the folly of offending a good tenant, relaxed a little in the laconic style of chipping off his pronouns and auxiliary verbs, and introduced what he supposed would be a subject of interest to me, a discourse on the advantages and disadvantages of my present place of retirement. I found him very intelligent on the topics we touched, and before I went home, I was encouraged so far as to volunteer another visit tomorrow. He evidently wished no repetition of my intrusion. Okay, so Heathcliff, I don't know what to think of Heathcliff, but at the moment, I don't mind him so much. He's a loner. He's grumpy. He's blunt. And I don't mind that. And he's talking about the advantages and the disadvantages of the place where Lockwood is, which I forget what that was called again. I need to remember my names. But he's like just talking about the house, and then the other guy's like, "Oh, I'm enjoying this conversation so much, I want to come back." And he's like, "No, no, you're not coming back. I don't want another visit from you." No, I'm not comparing myself because he's an introvert, but I think I like him more than Lockwood right now, but I don't like him. I don't like either of these characters really, but he is manlier. I guess in the traditional sense of the word. He's in control a bit more. Oh, wait, Heathcliff kicked the dog. I didn't even realize that. He evidently wished no repetition of my intrusion. I shall go notwithstanding. It is astonishing how sociable I feel myself compared with him. Compared with him, the harsh, inhospitable treatment of Lockwood and the suspicion of strangers manifested by the inmates of Wuthering Heights can be seen as characteristic of the gruff and taciturn Yorkshire temperament. Elizabeth Gaskell offers a useful insight into the regional character in her life of Charlotte Bronte. Ooh, there's a long thing that we can read here. I'm going to actually read this real quick. Conscious of the strong sagacity and the dogged power of will which seem almost the birthright of the natives of the West Riding, each man relies on himself and seeks no help at the hands of his neighbor. From barely requiring the assistance of others, he comes to doubt the power of bestowing it. From the general success of his efforts, he grows to depend on them, and overesteem his own energy and power. He belongs to that keen yet short-sighted class who consider suspicion of all whose honesty is not proved as a sign of wisdom. The practical qualities of a man are held in great respect, but the want of faith in strangers and untried modes of action extends itself even to the manner in which virtues are regarded. And if they produce no immediate and tangible results, they are rather put aside for this busy, striving world, especially if they are more passive than an active character. The affections are strong and their foundations lie deep, but they are not, such affections seldom are, wide-spreading, nor do they show themselves on the surface. Indeed, there is little display of any amenities of life among this wild, rough population. Their accost is curt, their accent and tone of speech blunt and harsh. Something of this may probably be attributed to the freedom of mountain air and of isolated hillside life. Something be derived from their rough Norse ancestry. They have a quick perception of character and a keen sense of humor. The dwellers among them must he prepared for certain uncomplimentary, though most likely true observations, pithily expressed. Their feelings are not easily aroused, but their duration is lasting. Hence there is much close friendship and faithful service. And for a correct exemplification of the form in which the latter frequently appears, I need only refer the reader of Wuthering Heights to the character of Joseph. Okay, so Joseph is going to be the typical Yorkshire guy. Faithful service. He's going to be an example of the faithful service. Okay, interesting. Sounds like people from the Northeast. The Northeast of the U.S. We should read an Elizabeth Gaskell book at one point. Yeah. Punch of a foot is kick. Okay, interesting. I missed that. I've always liked my dogs, but I always am afraid of other people's dogs. So I always read this first chapter as Heathcliff being a jerk to Lockwood. Interesting. I think he kind of is. His attitude to me seems like this. He's almost he probably already knows him somewhat well. To me it almost seems like he's doing this for his own amusement. To some extent, test if this man is really a man. Like he's testing to see if this guy is actually going to call off these dogs and be a man. And Lockwood doesn't. He's like terrified of it. But that's not, again, when you guys were talking, like the idea of the unreliable narrator, This is like a farce. What compromises a man is not the ability to call off dogs. You know? Maybe that's going to be a big theme of this novel, is what really is the composition and makeup of a man. I think to Emily Bronte, maybe there's a sense of like, this guy's like, he just controls his dogs. He's not like, they're working dogs. He just seems like he's testing him to some extent here. He's putting him in weird situations that is going to like test him for his own amusement. It's a strange first chapter. Weird, really weird. All right. We're going to do 2 more chapters. I can't say I'm enjoying this yet. I don't know if I'll ever be able to say that. And I think that's the interesting thing. He should have known to not pet the dogs. Lockwood is trying to pet the dogs and be jovial and be like good. How should he have known to not pet them? I guess if you have some common sense, maybe not petting someone, like not petting a female dog who has a bunch of pups. I don't know. I have to say this. The difference between Austen and and Emily right now. I said that Jane Austen does a lot of putting a lot of underwritten things in here. I think Emily goes to an even greater extent of like, she doesn't really tell you anything about the characters. This to me is show don't tell. And it's fun because then you just interpret characters in different ways, which I love that about novels. Like, she tells us through Lockwood's narration what he thinks of Heathcliff, sorry. Heathcliff. But Heathcliff is essentially almost making these judgment calls. We only know what Heathcliff thinks based on the things that we see. Not really any narration beats of like who he is, or really like his, yeah, which is, it's interesting. One big difference between Austen and Bronte is the fact that we have two guys having a conversation without a female present. Yeah, honestly, yeah. Wow, it's a first. Fitz Luna, what's up? It's all right. You can VOD this one. This is interesting right now. Again, can't say I enjoy it. It seems like a bleak place. No characters I like so far, but interesting characters. We'll see. Chapter 2. Excuse me. Yesterday afternoon set in misty and cold. I had half a mind to spend it by my study fire instead of wading through heath and mud to Wuthering Heights. On coming up from dinner, however, N.B., I dined between 12 and 1 o'clock. The housekeeper, a matronly lady taken as a fixture along with the house, could not or would not comprehend my request that I might be served at 5. There's a lot of footnotes in this. You know what? Endnotes should just be footnotes. That's my take. That's my hot take for the day. I might be served at 5. Lockwood's desire to dine at 5 is a legacy of his fashionable southern lifestyle, which is at odds with the habits of the rural community into which he has come, and which provides another indication of his outsider status. What time does the rural community eat dinner? On mounting the stairs with this lazy intention and stepping into the room, I saw a servant girl on her knees, surrounded by brushes and coal scuttles. and raising an infernal dust as she extinguished the flames with heaps of cinders. This spectacle drove me back immediately. I took my hat and, after a 4-mile walk, arrived at Heathcliff's garden gate just in time to escape the first feathery flakes of a snow shower. Dang, the weather that I have right now outside is perfect. On that bleak hilltop, the earth was hard with black frost, and the air made me shiver through every limb. Being unable to remove the chain, I jumped over, and running up the flagged causeway, bordered with straggling gooseberry bushes, knocked vainly for admittance, till my knuckles tingled and the dogs howled. Wretched inmates, I ejaculated mentally. You deserve perpetual isolation from your species for your churlish inhospitality. At least, I would not keep my doors barred in the daytime. I don't care. I will get in. So resolved, I grasped the latch and shook it vehemently. Vinegar-faced Joseph projected his head from a round window of the barn. What are ye for? What are you here for, I'm guessing? There's a footnote. Or what do you want? What are ye for? He shouted. To Maester's Dane I twofold. Oh, Lord. In the fold. I'm guessing that we're going to have a lot of footnotes for this. What do you want in the fold? Go round by the und, ut lath. This is crazy. Unlath of the barn, going round by the barn. If you want to speak, tell him. Tool him. Is there nobody inside to open the door? I hallooed responsively. They's no but missin', and shoe not open, and ye make your flaysome dins till neat. What is going on? All right, I don't know what's going on here. Fearsome. They's no but missin'. There's nobody missing, and she'll not open it, and ye make your fearsome dins till night. There's nobody missing, and no one will open this till your fearsome dines at night. There's nobody but the missus, and she won't open it till you're fearsome being din noise. Okay. Wow. Guys, I'm going to need a translator on every one of these. This is going to be brutal. She won't open the door till you make a racket till dark. Okay. June, are you talking about translation? Thank you. That's what we need. That is what we need. Dialects in writing. I want to write about that. I have some thoughts and feelings about dialects in writing. Yeah, weird. Yeah. I don't even know what a Yorkshire accent sounds like. Why? Can you not tell her who I am? Eh, Joseph? Nor nay me. I'll have no hen with it. muttered the head, vanishing. I'll have no hand with it. It's going to take me a long time to decipher some of this stuff. Hold on. Understanding Joseph's speech. Thank you. Chapter 2. Not me. I'll have no hand in it. Okay, interesting. Man, this is... you guys are helping me a lot here. Sean Bean is from Yorkshire? Interesting. Okay, interesting. Muttered the head, vanishing. So Joseph doesn't want anything to do with this guy. The snow began to drive thickly. I seized the handle to essay another trial, when a young man without coat and shouldering a pitchfork appeared in the yard behind. He hailed me to follow him, and after marching through a wash house and a paved area containing a coal shed, pump, and pigeon cote, we at length arrived in the large, warm, cheerful apartment, where I was formally received. It glowed delightfully in the radiance of an immense fire, compounded of coal, peat, and wood, and near the table, laid for a plentiful evening meal, I was pleased to observe the Mrs., an individual whose existence I had never previously suspected. I bowed and waited, thinking she would bid me take a seat. She looked at me, leaning back in her chair, and remained motionless and mute. Rough weather, I remarked. I'm afraid, Miss Heathcliff, the floor must bear the consequence of your servant's leisure attendance. I had hard work to make them hear me. I'm afraid, Mrs. Heathcliff, the floor must bear the consequence of your servant's leisure. So your servant's leisure attendance. Okay, I had hard work to make them hear me. She never opened her mouth. I stared. She stared also. At any rate, she kept her eyes on me in a cool, regardless manner, exceedingly embarrassed and disagreeable. Sit down, said the young man gruffly. He'll be in soon. I obeyed, and hemmed, and called the villain Juno, who deigned, at this second interview, to move the extreme tip of her tail, a token of owning my acquaintance. The villain being the dog. I guess humans don't have tails. Tip of her tail in token of owning my acquaintance. A beautiful animal, I commenced again. Do you intend parting with the little ones, madam? They are not mine, said the amiable hostess more repellingly than Heathcliff himself could have replied. They are so grumpy. They just don't seem to like life. Ah, your favorites are among these, I continued, turning to an obscure cushion full of something like cats. A strange choice of favorites, she observed scornfully. Unluckily, it was a heap of dead rabbits. I hemmed once more and drew closer to the hearth, repeating my comment on the wildness of the evening. You should not have come out, she said, rising and reaching from the chimney piece 2 of the painted canisters. Real quick question. Is this the day... Well, what did it say in the beginning of the chapter? Was this the day after yesterday afternoon? What's the time jump in this chapter? It probably isn't that significant, right? So if this is the next day, then he's doing something that Mr. Wickham is probably going to kill him for. Mr. Wickham just seems like he's a big grump, and if he sees, what's his name, Flintlock. Flint Lockwood. What's his full name again? Lockwood. If he sees Lockwood in his house, I feel like he's the kind of person that would set his dogs on them. Did I say Wickham? Heathcliff. Oh no. That was a Freudian slip right there. It feels like Wickham. No, not really. He's a lot grumpier than Wickham. Heathcliff. Heathcliff seems like he would rip his head off. Character names are taking a hit. You prefer Heathcliff to Wickham. He's kind of the anti-Wickham. Yeah, he feels like that. He just is a loner, but like a miserable loner. Mm. They're what's they're like okay, they're like souls seem like they're the same, but their way of living is different. You know what I mean? They kind of seem like the same miserable person, but one is an introvert who just wants to be on his own and seems miserable, and the other just wants to go be a hedonist, but he's also miserable. All right, let's keep reading. You should not have come out, she said, rising and reaching from the chimney piece 2 of the painted canisters. Her position before was sheltered from the light. Now I had the distinct view of her whole figure and countenance. She was slender, and apparently scarcely past girlhood. An admirable form, and the most exquisite little face that I ever had the pleasure of beholding. Small features, very fair, flaxen ringlets, or rather golden, hanging loose on her delicate neck, and eyes. They had been agreeable in expression. They would have been irresistible. Fortunately for my susceptible heart, the only sentiment they evinced hovered between scorn and a kind of desperation, singularly unnatural to be detected there. So she's young? Or is he just saying that she looks young? I don't know ages here. So she is young. Why do I feel like Heathcliff feels old and decrepit? Also, real quick, what was this line? I was going to ask this question before. Okay. This is on page 5. But Mr. Heathcliff forms a singular contrast to his abode and style of living. He's a dark-skinned gypsy in aspect, in dress and manner a gentleman. That is, as much a gentleman as many country squire. Rather slovenly, perhaps, yet not looking amiss, with his negligence because he has an erect and handsome figure, and rather morose. Possibly some people might suspect him of a degree of underbred pride. Is he black? Dark-skinned gypsy? Or is he just like super Sicilian? Is he like, has he got his tan on? So Heathcliff isn't as old as I think. Interesting. Okay. It's ambiguous. It's vague that way. Meghan Markle color. Swarthy. Like Romanian according to Gypsy description. Okay, interesting. So that is actually like one of the big discussions of this book. Is Heathcliff's race. Okay, interesting. So Heathcliff may be middle age. Okay. All right, interesting. So strange. So maybe they're not married. Maybe this is their daughter or something. The canisters were almost out of her reach. I made a motion to aid her. She turned upon me as a miser might turn if anyone attempted to assist him in counting his gold. I don't want your help, she snapped. I can get them for myself. I beg your pardon, I hastened to reply. Were you asked to tea? She demanded, trying to apron her neat black frock and standing with a spoonful of the leaf poised over the pot. I shall be glad to have a cup, I answered. Were you asked? She repeated. No, I said half smilingly. You are the proper person to ask me. She flung the tea back, spoon and all, and resumed her chair in a pet. Wait, she flung the tea back, spoon and all, and resumed her chair in a pet, her forehead corrugated, and her red underlip pushed out, like a child's ready to cry. Meanwhile, the young man had slung onto his person a decidedly shabby upper garment, and erecting himself before the blaze, looked down on me, from the corner of his eyes, for all the world as if there were some mortal feud unavenged between us. I began to doubt whether we were a servant or not. His dress and speech were both rude, entirely devoid of the superiority observable in Mr. and Mrs. Heathcliff. His thick brown curls were rough and uncultivated. His whiskers encroached bearishly over his cheeks, and his hands were embrowned, like those of a common laborer. Still his bearing was free, almost haughty, and he showed none of a domestic's assiduity in attending on the lady of the house. In the absence of clear proofs of his condition, I deemed it best to abstain from noticing his curious conduct. And 5 minutes afterwards, the entrance of Heathcliff relieved me, in some measure, from my uncomfortable state. What a... Man. What a miserable place. Like, the fire's in the room. It should be nice and lovely and warm. And it's anything but. And it's funny, too. Like, I feel like there's a contrast in this because this guy comes to what is potentially... Like, it's almost like he's coming for the fire. No? Hold on a second. No, I had half... Wait. I had half a mind to spend it by my study fire instead of wading through heath and mud to Wuthering Heights. Why is he going up to Wuthering Heights? Yeah, this is definitely not the Shire. This is miserable. This place is awful. He was not invited back, so why is he going up there in the first place? This guy, if we're talking Pride and Prejudice terms, this guy is like a Mr. Collins, does not understand social cues. They don't want him to come up. So what is he doing coming up? This is their landlord. This is his landlord. He's like an idiot. Morbid curiosity. And it's funny too, because he wants to be by his own fire. But he doesn't. Does he really want to be by his own fire if he's going out into the misty and the cold? So I feel like he is just intruding, and he comes to what is potentially the warmest place in the house and finds it exceedingly chilly, as all of us readers are going, brr. This is awful. 1 second. And finds it chilly. Let's keep reading. In the absence oh no, Mr. Heathcliff, in some measure, from his uncomfortable state. You see, sir, I am come according to promise, I exclaimed, assuming the cheerfulness, and I fear I shall be weather-bound for half an hour, if you can afford me shelter during that space. Half an hour, he said, shaking the white flakes from his clothes. I wonder you should select the thick of a snowstorm to ramble about in. Do you know that you run a risk of being lost in the marshes? People familiar with these moors often miss their road on such evenings, and I can tell you, there is no chance of a change at present. Perhaps I can get a guide among your lads, and he might stay at the Grange till morning. Could you spare me one? No, I could not. Oh, indeed. Well, then I must try. Then I must trust to my own sagacity. Umph. Umph. Are you going to make the tea? Demanded he of the shabby coat, shifting his ferocious gaze from me to the young lady. Is he to have any? She asked, appealing to Heathcliff. Get it ready, will you? Was the answer, uttered so savagely that I started. The tone in which the words were said revealed a genuine bad nature. I no longer felt inclined to call Heathcliff a capital fellow. When the preparations were finished, he invited me with... Wait, what is this paragraph here? When the preparations were finished, he invited me with dash. What is going on there? He's an extrovert and wants company, but he's picked the wrong place. Yes. He wants me with... just to go with him? Okay. I thought that was going to be like a Pride and Prejudice thing where it like blacks out like a name. Now, sir, bring forward your chair. And we all, including the rustic youth, drew around the table. An austere silence prevailing while we discussed our meal. Discussed is 8. I like that. I'm going to go discuss a meal after this. I thought if I had caused the cloud, it was my duty to make an effort to dispel it. This is an extrovert doing something stupid at a table full of introverts that don't really want to talk. They just want to eat their meal, and that's it. And he's like, I made an error, so I have to talk my way out of it. And all these introverts are going, oh my gosh. Grumpy introverts too. Oh, interesting. You just have quotation marks. I just have a dash. She's allowed to have tea. This is such a... The whole dynamic here is so weird. I thought I had caused the cloud. It was my duty to make an effort to dispel it. They could not every day sit so grim and taciturn. It was impossible, however ill-tempered they might be, that the universal scowl they wore was their everyday countenance. It is strange, I began, in the interval of swallowing one cup of tea and receiving another. It is strange how custom can mold our taste and ideas. Not many could imagine the existence of happiness in a life of such complete exile from the world as you spend, Mr. Heathcliff. Yet I'll venture to say that, surrounded by your family, and with your amiable lady as the presiding genius over your home and heart, my amiable lady, he interrupted with an almost diabolical sneer on his face. Where is she? My amiable lady. Mrs. Heathcliff, your wife, I mean. Well, yes. Oh, you would intimate that her spirit has taken the post of ministering angel and guards the fortunes of Wuthering Heights, even when her body is gone. Is that it? So she's dead? Perceiving myself in a blunder, this is just weird conversation. So Heathcliff is a widower. Okay. Perceiving myself in a blunder, I attempted to correct it. I might have seen there was too great a disparity between the ages of the parties to make it likely that they were a man and wife. One was about 40, a period of mental vigor at which men seldom cherished the delusion of being married for love. By girls. That dream is reserved by the solace of our declining years. The others did not look 17. Then it flashed upon me. The clown at my elbow who is drinking his tea out of a basin and eating his bread with unwashed hands may be her husband. Heathcliff, Junior, of course. There is the consequence of being buried alive. She has thrown herself away upon that boar, from sheer ignorance that better individuals existed. A sad pity. I must beware how I cause her to regret her choice. The last reflection may seem conceited. It was not. My neighbor struck me as bordering on repulsive. I knew, through experience, that I was tolerably attractive. Mrs. Heathcliff is my daughter-in-law, said Heathcliff, corroborating my surmise. He turned as he spoke, a peculiar look in her direction, a look of hatred, unless he has a most perverse set of facial muscles that will not, like those of other people, interpret the language of his soul. He turned as he spoke, a peculiar look in her direction, a look of hatred, unless he has a most perverse set of facial muscles that will not, like those of other people, interpret the language of his soul. This is wild. Ah, certainly. I see now. You are the favored possessor of the beneficent fairy, I remarked, turning to my neighbor. This was worse than before. The youth grew crimson and clenched his fist with every appearance of a meditated assault, but he seemed to recollect himself presently, and smothered the storm in a brutal curse, muttered on my behalf, which, however, I took care not to notice. So they have anger issues? Like the storm underneath them, that seems like they just are like kind of furious. Eating bread with unwashed hands. I wonder if that's said in reference to the verse about the Pharisees calling a person pharisaical. Interesting. Yeah, when you're in a hole, stop digging. Michael, thanks for the $5. I appreciate it. His reliable versus unreliable narrators are a weird thing to think about sometimes. Like, that really trips me up. Is Lockwood not a like his narration? I feel like he's kind of right in this, but this is his interpretation of things. So he sees this guy who has a passing, because of something stupid that Lockwood said, sees a passing storm in his face where he can blow up, but he doesn't. I don't view Lockwood as particularly smart or particularly adept socially. I still kind of think this is probably right and probably true. They probably do. But if he's not really like it's weird, because why am I trusting him in his observation here? But then all of a sudden he even says in his own observation, oh, I'm not conceited, but then, I'm going to toot my own horn. And then even like, he's like, oh, I'm a man of society. He understands society, but he doesn't understand crap. because he doesn't understand how to be social in this situation. He doesn't understand that he is not welcome, that he should probably just go immediately. Ooh, love that point. His observations are okay, but his interpretation sucks. That helps. What a weird dude. Guys, I don't like anybody in this novel so far. They're all grumps. Are we gonna get? Is this gonna be the whole novel? Is there gonna be anybody in this novel that I'm like, oh, finally, someone good? Everyone's just grumpy. All right, well, hold on. Let me write a quick note on this. Weird and unreliable. Everybody sucks. All right. Here we go. Let's keep reading. I'm glad that you guys are here helping me out with this too. This makes me so happy. Unhappy in your conjectures, sir, observed my host. We neither of us have the privilege of owning your good fairy. Her mate is dead. I said she was my daughter-in-law, therefore she must have married my son. And this young man is not my son, assuredly. Heathcliff smiled again, as if it were rather too bold a jest to attribute the paternity of that bear to him. My name is Hareton Earnshaw, growled the other, and I'd counsel you to respect it. I've shown no disrespect, was my reply, laughing internally at the dignity with which he announced himself. He fixed his eye on me longer than I cared to return the stare. For fear, that's an interesting idea too. He's having a staring contest. Everyone is just testing each other in this. This is so stupid. This is like the last place on earth I want to be. What's this guy's name? Hareton Earnshaw fixes his eyes on me. He's like, I'm gonna have a staring contest. I'm not gonna not look at him until he stops looking at me. I'm gonna win this staring contest. And then Lockwood's like, I don't care about this. I'm not gonna look away. But I in my head, he tells it like this, but probably in the reality of it, he is like looking at him and he's like probably doing this with fear. But his narration later, sitting by his warm, cozy fire, is like, oh, I didn't care to look back at him. But he just lost this staring contest between these two people. He's not a... He's a weird dude. He's a weird dude. These characters are strange so far, guys. I don't know what to think of these people. Yeah, they're all awkward and just weird. He fixed his eye on me longer than I cared to return the stare, for fear I might be tempted either to box his tears or render my hilarity audible. I began to feel unmistakably out of place in that pleasant family circle. The dismal spiritual atmosphere overcame, and more than neutral, the glowing physical comfort surrounded me, and I resolved to be cautious how I ventured under those rafters for a third time. The business of eating being concluded, and no one uttering a word of sociable conversation, I approached a window to examine the weather. A sorrowful sight I saw. Dark night coming down prematurely, and sky and hills mingled in one bitter whirl of wind and suffocating snow. I don't think it's possible for me to get home now without a guide, I could not help exclaiming. The roads will be buried already, and if they were bare, I could scarcely distinguish a foot in advance. Hareton, drive those dozen sheep into the barn porch. They'll be covered if left in the fold all night, and put a plank before them, said Heathcliff. How must I do? I continued with the rising irritation. This is this is so ugh. Like they're all dumb idiots. Like no one has any kindness or hospitality to the other. Gosh. There was no reply to my question. Like they don't care. They're like, you got to figure it out. He's gonna be sleeping in the dog bed over here with the dogs. You're gonna be biting them. I saw only Joseph bringing a pail of porridge for the dogs, and Mrs. Heathcliff leaning over the fire, diverting herself with burning a bundle of matches which had fallen from the chimney piece, as she restored the tea canister to its place. Diverted herself with burning a bundle of matches which had fallen from the chimney piece as she restored the tea canister to its place. Maybe a silly question. Do matches exist at this time? Like, what is a match? Yeah, with the dogs. The dogs, aka the Heathcliff family. Heathcliff and Co. Those dogs. Like there's not matches like a stick with wax on the end. Maybe. I feel like that's probably it. Like she's just like sitting there, like playing with fire. Ever read the Little Match Girl story? Mm-mm. A match is different from back then to today. I'm sure there's just... I'm curious now what it looks like. I'm going to look that up later. The former, when he had deposited his burden, took a critical survey of the room, and in cracked tones grated out, wait, the former being Mr. Heathcliff, Joseph. I wonder how you can fashion to stand their idleness and war. I gotta read this like a southern accent, because that's to me what it sounds like. I wonder how you can fashion to stand their idleness and war. War being and worse. Un war. When all on'em's goat ought going out. But you're nout. Gosh. A nothing. Useless. And it's no use talking. Y'all never mind your ill ways. But go a right to the divil. Like your mother afore ye. Yeah, I'm gonna keep reading the translation, but I'm gonna keep trying to read the actual other real part of it. They say the southern U.S. accent is the closest to a British accent. I love that. That's hilarious. All right, chapter 2. He says, I wonder how you can stand there in idleness and worse, when all of them have gone out. But you're a nobody, and it's no use talking. You'll never mend your evil ways, but go straight to the devil like your mother before you. What the heck is going on? This is like a horror novel. Like, this is the housekeeper who's like, wait, so he says, the former, when he deposited his burden, took a critical survey of the room, and in cracked tones grated out, I wonder how you can stand there in idleness and worse, when all of them have gone out. But you're a nobody. And it's no use talking. You'll never mend your evil ways? What does Joseph know? But go straight to the devil like your mother before you. What the heck is going on here? This is such a haunted house. Ooh. It's like prophetic. It's just so weird. Like, what does Joseph know? Does how? What's? Oh my gosh! What the heck is going on here? I imagined for a moment that this piece of eloquence was addressed to me. Okay, hold on. And sufficiently enraged, stepped toward the aged rascal. Oh, is he talking to the dog? With an intention of kicking him out of the door. Mrs. Heathcliff, however, checked me by her answer. This is the weirdest. So, talking to Mrs. Heathcliff, who is Heathcliff's daughter-in-law. You scandalous old hypocrite, she replied. Are you not afraid of being carried away bodily whenever you mention the devil's name? I warn you to refrain from provoking me, or I'll ask your abduction as a special favor. Stop, look here, Joseph, she continued, taking a long, dark book from a shelf. I'll show you how far you've progressed in the black art. Black magic. I shall soon be competent to make a clear house of it. A red cow didn't die by chance, and your rheumatism can hardly be reckoned among providential visitations. Oh, wicked, wicked, gasped the elder. May the Lord deliver us from evil. This is terrifying. I am so scared right now. What the heck is going on? The Texas Chainsaw Massacre Yorkshire style. Yes, she's gaslighting him. Yeah, but I want to know what Joseph knows. We're probably going to get that, obviously. Why is Mrs. Heathcliff's mother so devilish or going with the devil? Weird. So she's like, I caused your rheumatism. She's like, she's acting a little witchy. No, reprobate, you are a castaway. Be off, or I'll hurt you seriously. I'll have you all modeled in wax and clay. Catherine was proposing to make an effigy of Joseph for the purpose of punishing him through witchcraft. Gosh, this is wild. This is the last place I want to be on earth, in this house. And he has to spend the night here. Guys. Ugh. Joseph, what are you doing there? Get out while you can. I know you're a Yorkshire guy and you just, you value, loyalty, I guess, but this is too much. Poor Joseph. And the first who passes the limits I fix shall. I'll not say what he shall be done to, but you'll see. Go, I'm looking at you. The little witch put a mock malignity into her beautiful eyes, and Joseph, trembling with sincere horror, hurried out praying and ejaculating wicked as he went. Poor Joseph. This is awful. And man, that's nasty. This is a really good indication for me of she is really Emily Bronte is excellent at showing you where characters are weird and awful, or showing you what their character is. Because Joseph seems to me right now he's grumpy with the rest of them, but he just does his job, sticks it out. He's just a servant here and just does what he has to do. All these other people torment him. Instead of no teasing, it's like this Mrs. Lockwood is, or not Mrs. Lockwood, sorry, Mrs. Heathcliff is deliberately causing him pain, knowing that she can kind of manipulate him and like scare him like this. And I feel like she does this all the time. Lockwood's in the corner. I'd be shivering in a corner. I want to go home. I want to go home. He's like, put something in my tea there. I thought her conduct must be prompted by a species of dreary fun. There you go. This is my thing. And now that we were alone, I endeavored to interest her in my distress. Mrs. Heathcliff, I said earnestly, you must excuse me for troubling you. I presume because, with that face, I'm sure you cannot help being good-hearted. Do point out some landmarks by which I may know my way home. I have no more idea how to get there than you would have how to get to London. Okay, another quick real thing before we keep reading. The thing that Joseph says, and Lockwood thinks this is for him. He says, I imagined for a moment that this piece of eloquence was addressed to me. I kind of like how he speaks too, that this piece of eloquence was meant for me. And sufficiently enraged, stepped out of the door, yada, yada, yada. Is it potentially that it is for him? Like, okay, so in my head right now, I'm imagining that this is potentially like a little bit of a horror. You know, this is gothic. But I'm going to keep my eye out a little bit for thinking anything about Lockwood. Like, what is the exact wording of this again? So it says, I wonder how you can stand there in idleness and worse when all of them have gone out, but you're nobody. And it's no use talking. You'll never mend your evil ways, but go straight to the devil like your mother before you. We're probably not going to get that much on his mother, I'm sure. Like, I don't think we're going to get that. But does Lockwood need to mend his evil ways? Like, I'm going to be keeping an eye out for that. Does he need to do something? Does he need to, like, have some penance? I don't know. Take the road you came, she answered, ensconcing herself in a chair with a candle and the long book opened before her. It is brief advice, but as sound as I can give. This is witchcraft right here. This is terrifying. Yeah, this is a 19th century your mom joke, honestly. So she's just ensconced in a chair, just playing with fire, opening this long book that's out before her. She's going, hello, Lockwood. I'm going to make a voodoo doll of you. This is horror. Then if you hear of me being discovered dead in a bog or a pit full of snow, your conscience won't whisper that it is partially your fault. How so? I cannot escort you. They wouldn't let me go into the end of the garden wall. You? I should be sorry to ask you to cross the threshold for my convenience on such a night, I cried. I want you to tell me my way, not to show it, or else to persuade Mr. Heathcliff to give me a guide. Who? There is himself, Earnshaw, Zillah, Joseph, and I. Which would you have? Wait, hold on. Mr. Heathcliff, Earnshaw? Earnshaw, Hareton Earnshaw. That's his last name. I was wondering who his first name is. Zillah, is that the lady with the pots and pans that chased away the dogs? Joseph and I. Okay, let me wrap my head around this. So you have Earnshaw is what is Earnshaw again? Why I'm blanking on this. I need assistance. Zillah's the housekeeper. Younger guy. He's the younger guy with dirty hands. But what's his position again? How is he? Do we know how he's like? Is he like a servant in the house? What was? Because Mrs. Heathcliff is a widower. Husband's dead. The young wildish guy. Okay, we don't know yet. Read and find out. All right. I thought I was going crazy there and just didn't remember. Okay, so there's just a bunch of them in the house. That's it. Where am I? Here we go. Are there no boys at the farm? No, those are all. Then it follows that I am compelled to stay. That you may settle with your host. I have nothing to do with it. I hope it will be a lesson to you to make no more rash journeys on these hills, cried Heathcliff's stern voice from the kitchen entrance. As to staying here, I don't keep accommodations for visitors. You must share a bed with Hareton or Joseph if you do. I can sleep on a chair in this room, I replied. No, a stranger is a stranger, be he rich or poor. It will not suit me to permit any one of the range of the place while I am off guard, said the unmannerly wretch. Oh my gosh. Elizabeth Gaskell's contention that inhabitants of Yorkshire belong to that keen yet short-sighted class who consider suspicion of all whose honesty is not proved as a sign of wisdom. This is wild. This is like everything. This is the anti-book to Pride and Prejudice. We could not have picked two books that are further apart from each other. When everything is like over hospitality in Pride and Prejudice. And this is like a guy walks into the house and he can't stay. And he's like, don't worry. I'll just sleep on the couch here. And the guy's going, no. And he's not, it's not because he's being hospitable. It's because he doesn't trust the guy. He goes, no, you're probably going to steal something. You're going to be bunked with Joseph or with Earnshaw. Wild. The anti-Pride and Prejudice. Oh, gosh. We are in for a journey, guys. I am enjoying this, but not really. Like, I think it's an interesting book, and I like deciphering this stuff. It feels more like a puzzle than anything, but I'm not enjoying this book because this is I don't like anybody in this book so far. It's terrifying to me, and it's horror, and I don't like horror. With this insult, my patience was at an end. I uttered an expression of disgust and pushed past him into the yard, running against Earnshaw in my haste. It was so dark that I could not see the means of exit. Then I wandered round. I heard another specimen of their civil behavior amongst each other. At first, the young man appeared about to befriend me. I'll go with him as far as the park, he said. You'll go with me to hell, exclaimed his master. You'll go with him to hell, exclaimed his master, or whatever relation he bore. And who is to look after the horses, eh? Man's life is of more consequence than one evening's neglect of horses. Somebody must go, murmured Mrs. Heathcliff, more kindly than I expected. Interesting that Mrs. Heathcliff is the one that says that. I thought he was going to be the one that says that. Not at your command, retorted Hareton. If you set store on him, you'd better be quiet. Will everyone shut up and just... I need the grumpiness to just leave. Can people be kind to each other for a half a second in this novel? This is brutal, guys. Oh my gosh. Then I hope his ghost will haunt you. And I hope Mr. Heathcliff will never get another tenant till the Grange is a ruin, she answered sharply. Hearken, hearken. She was cursing on them, muttered Joseph, toward whom I had been steering. He sat within earshot, milking the cows by the aid of a lantern, which I seized unceremoniously, and calling out that I would send it back on the morrow, rushed to the nearest postern. Maester, maester, he's stolen the lantern, shouted the ancient pursuing my retreat. Hey Gnasher, hey dog, hey wolf, hold him, hold him. This is absurd. This is just... I fear that this is going to be the entire thing, which I think that it is from what I've heard. And it's just going to be the diagnosis of a dysfunctional family. Some of you guys, when you read this, do you get a lot of PTSD? So toxic. So toxic. Like, Joseph was one of my favorite characters right now, and then all of a sudden, I don't like him. Because this guy is going out into a snowstorm. Like, I like Lockwood the best. I don't like Lockwood at all. But he's the only one with any sense. He's like so fed up with these people that he's like, fine. I'm gonna leave. Grabs a flashlight. And all of a sudden Joseph comes running up to him, after him. Master, he's thieving. He's stealing. Call the dogs. Call the wolves. Ay, 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 ay. This is brutal, guys. Ay. On opening the little door, two hairy monsters. No way. Does Heathcliff legitimately send the dogs on him? On opening the little door, two hairy monsters flew at my throat, bearing me down and extinguishing the light, while a mingled guffaw from Heathcliff and Hareton put the copstone on my rage and humiliation. The top or heading of a building. Okay, interesting. So he is at his wit's end. Oh my gosh. This is wild. Fortunately, the beasts seem more bent on stretching their paws and yawning and flourishing their tails than devouring me alive. But they would suffer no resurrection, and I was forced to lie till their malignant masters pleased to deliver me. Then, hatless and trembling with wrath, I ordered the miscreants to let me out, on their peril to keep me 1 minute longer with several incoherent threats of retaliation that, in their indefinite depth of virulency, smacked of King Lear. This is just going to be Shakespeare. Okay, here's the line. I will have such revenges on you both, that all the world shall. I will do such things, what they are yet I know not, but they shall be the terrors of the earth. This is crazy. This is wild. How terrible these people are. Like, if this is your landlord, I'm like leaving. I'm like, dude, I'm out. I'm moving. I'll move out tomorrow. I don't want to deal with you anymore. The vehemence of my agitation brought on a copious bleeding at the nose. That is crazy. And still Heathcliff laughed. And still I scolded. I don't know what would have concluded the scene had there not been one person at hand rather more rational than myself, and more benevolent than my entertainer. This was Zillah. Yes, Zillah, the only good one here. The stout housewife, who at length issued forth to inquire into the nature of the uproar. She thought that some of them had been laying violent hands on me, and not daring to attack her master, she turned her vocal artillery against the younger scoundrel. Well, Mr. Earnshaw, she cried, I wonder what you'll have it. A gate next. Have a foot next. Are we going to murder folk on our very doorstones? I see this house will never do for me. Look at the poor lad. He's fair chokin'. Wisht, you mustn't go on so. Come in, and I'll cure that. There now, hold ye still. With these words, she suddenly splashed a pint of icy water down my neck and pulled me into the kitchen. Why is that? Wouldn't those be welcoming words? Hold on, time out. So initially, I thought this was literally cold water, and then I thought maybe it's not. Maybe it is figurative. This is literal, though. Gosh, these people are the worst. As soon as I like a character, I hate them. This is like, finally you have Zilla come in. Calls off the dogs. And takes a bucket of ice water and just douses him with it. These are the worst. I can't stand these people. I love to hate them. That is true. Mr. Heathcliff followed, his accidental merriment expiring quickly in his habitual moroseness. I was sick exceedingly, and dizzy and fainting, and thus compelled perforce to accept lodgings under his roof. He told Zilla to give me a glass of brandy, and then passed on to the inner room, while she condoled with me on my sorry predicament, and having obeyed his orders, whereby I was somewhat revived, ushered me to bed. Dude. I would 100% leave the house without a lantern. It's dark. I don't care. I would rather die than stay in this house overnight. This is the worst. He would try, but he left with a lantern, which was their biggest concern. They're like, "Oh, he's stealing," and so I would toss the lantern down and go, "Okay, guys, I'm out. I'm leaving. See ya." Whatever lurks outside that house is better than what lurks inside that house. I would take my chances outside in a snowstorm rather than stay there. That's not it. I would 100% freeze to death. No, well, I'm not going to say 100%. I feel like me personally, I don't think Lockwood has a good sense of direction. I think he's too, like, airheaded for that. I feel like I can find my way home. I like take a walk and then, like, get my bearings. He's already done this walk. He should have some bearings about. It's 2 miles. It's like you have like a few inches of snow out down there. It would take an hour. My house is just like Wuthering Heights. It's outside. It's just like Wuthering Heights right now. It's freezing. I would fall into a bog and die. I would rather fall into a bog and die. That's the title of this video. I'm gonna make a video. Turban, thank you. I would rather fall into a bog and die than stay one night in Wuthering Heights. I have to write that down before I forget it. I would rather fall into a bog and die and stay one night in Wuthering Heights. That is a top tier video title. It's the dead marshes outside. I would still rather go to the dead marshes than there. Yeah, the final stages of hypothermia probably are nice and warm. I've heard that too, that they're nice and warm. So I'd be dying and I'd feel nice and warm. Wow, guys, this is going to be a journey through this novel. I actually think this is like I'm is this what all people feel when they read this novel? Like I'm enjoying it, but I'm not enjoying it in any way. Like I think the writing is actually really fascinating. Very different from Jane Austen, obviously. But like the horror element of it is really interesting and fun. Like the interpretation that you're supposed to get of the characters is also really fun too. I don't like anybody, but like something that I really love that she does is there's like the unreliable narrator. So like we're just supposed to glean what we think of these characters here. They're all horrible, but that's the point. Yeah. It's just so fascinating. It's a sick pleasure. It feels like that at the moment. Like I don't think I'm getting pleasure out of this book. But it's just an interesting like I've heard that Dickens writes characters that are kind of like this, that are miserable, but he writes them with like a comedic slant. Like imagine if Mr. Collins and Mr. Wickham, well, Mr. Wickham's not really written with a comedic slant. Imagine Mr. Collins was dark and gothic and not written with any comedy at all. That is this novel to me. Oh, they're going to get worse. The U in Wuthering is like the O in worry. Wuthering. Ay, ay, ay. This is brutal, guys. They had no sense of humor. I hate it and love it. Well, love is too strong of a word. I tolerate it. Ooh, guys, this is a wild book so far. All right, we're on chapter 3. Whew. This is my first introduction to Emily Bronte. Didn't read any introduction before that. Didn't know anything about her. I just know that she's a gothic writer that wrote, and I have to be honest too. Like I heard that I heard this was going to be a depressing one. I didn't think it was going to be this dark and horror stricken. It's kind of crazy. It's like worse than I thought it was. This is her only novel, really? I don't know where she grew up or had her beginnings though. Did she grow up in the moors? Is she poor? She taught, apparently, which is pretty cool. Ay, 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 ay. All right. Let's read chapter 3. Every chapter is going to be a slog. It's like, all right, everyone, let's just wind up. Let's get into it. This is going to be rough. Her 2 older sisters died of tuberculosis. That's so sad. And she died of it too. She was a pastor's daughter. Interesting. Man, she had a sad life. All Brontes had very difficult lives and shows. Interesting. Your headcanon is they were all terminally depressed. It makes sense. This novel feels like they're all terminally depressed. 5 of the 6 siblings died of tuberculosis. Dang. Tuberculosis. That sucks. All right, chapter 3. Let's read chapter 3. Everyone, gear up. My tea has gone cold, which feels very applicable for this novel. Ooh, I don't know if I would want to hike the real farm of their house because it feels haunted to me. But I would kind of like that. Oy. The tea is cold and stale, just like my heart reading this novel. Chapter 3. Wes is curled up in a ball right here. He's like, just chilling. While leading the way upstairs, she recommended that I should hide the candle and not make a noise, for her master had an odd notion about the chamber she would put me in, and never let anybody lodge there willingly. I asked the reason. This is legitimately the opening of a horror novel, or a horror movie, or whatever. He's going to a room that no one wants to go into, or that the master forbids people from going into. Willingly. It's like there's good little extra tidbits that she puts in here. And never let anybody lodge there willingly. I asked the reason. She did not know, she answered. She had only lived there a year or two, and they had so many queer goings on, she could not begin to be curious. Too stupefied to be curious myself, I fastened my door and glanced round for the bed. The whole furniture consisted of a chair, and a clothes press. Is just going to tell me what a clothes press is? A shelf, recess, or movable chest, or a case in which clothes are kept folded. I feel like I didn't need a footnote for that one, but sure. And a large oak case with squares cut out near the top resembling coach windows. There's probably a body in that. Having approached this structure, I looked inside and perceived it to be a singular sort of old-fashioned couch, very conveniently designed to obviate the necessity for every member of the family having a room to himself. In fact, it formed a little closet, and the ledge of the window, which it enclosed, served as a table. I slid back the paneled sides, got in with my light, pulled them together again, and felt secure against the vigilance of Heathcliff and everyone else. The ledge where I placed my candle had a few mildewed books piled up in one corner, and it was covered with writing scratched on the paint. This is terrifying. I want to leave. I don't want to be in this room. This writing, however, was nothing but a name repeated in all kinds of characters, large and small. Catherine Earnshaw, here and there varied to Catherine Heathcliff, and then again to Catherine Linton. So was this was Catherine's room, and she just had fantasies about marrying, interesting, Earnshaw, Heathcliff, and Linton. Earnshaw. So this boy is... Whoa. Are these both of her kids? Ooh. Ooh. We're about to hit some serious dysfunction right now. How did she die? That's my question. But no spoilers. Ugh, I want to be out of this room immediately. This is cursed. Ooh, Linton was the name on the outside of the house, right? Yes. Wait. Real quick. I'm going to go back and check that out. Where was that? Um, where is it? Hareton Earnshaw. I detected the date and the name Hareton Earnshaw. Oh, we don't know Linton yet. Okay. Hareton Earnshaw. Everybody's related to everyone. All right, here we go. So Hareton Earnshaw is that kid? He doesn't own this house. Maybe he named his son the same exact thing. In vapid listlessness, I leant my head against the window and continued spelling over Catherine Earnshaw, Heathcliff, Linton, till my eyes closed. But they had not rested 5 minutes when a glare of white letters started from the dark, as vivid as spectres. The air swarmed with Catherines. And rousing myself to dispel the obtrusive name, I discovered my candlewick reclining on one of the antique volumes and perfuming the place with an odor of roasted calfskin. I snuffed it off, and very ill at ease under the influence of cold and lingering nausea, sat up and spread open the injured tome on my knee. It was a testament in lean type, and smelling dreadfully musty. A flyleaf bore the inscription, Catherine Earnshaw, her book, and a date some quarter of a century back. Oh, this is her journal? I shut it and took up another, and another, till I had examined all. Catherine's library was select, and its state of dilapidation proved it to have been well used, though not altogether for a legitimate purpose. Scarcely one chapter had escaped a pen and ink commentary, at least the appearance of one, covering every morsel of blank that the printer had left. Some were detached sentences. Other parts took the form of a regular diary, scrawled in an unformed childish hand. And at the top of the page, on the top of an extra page, quite a treasure probably when first lighted on. I was greatly amused to behold an excellent caricature of my friend Joseph, rudely yet powerfully sketched. An immediate interest kindled within me for the unknown Catherine, and I began forthwith to decipher her faded hieroglyphics. An awful Sunday, commenced the paragraph beneath. I wish my father were back again. Hindley is a detestable substitute. His conduct to Heathcliff is atrocious. H and I are going to rebel. We took our initiatory step this evening. All day has been flooded with rain. We could not go to church, so Joseph must needs get up a congregation in the garret. And while Hindley and his wife bask downstairs before a comfortable fire, doing anything but reading their Bibles, I'll answer for it. Heathcliff, myself, and the unhappy ploughboy were commanded to take our prayer books and mount. We were ranged in a row on a sack of corn, groaning and shivering, and hoping that Joseph would shiver too, so that he might give us a short homily for his own sake. A vain idea. The service lasted precisely 3 hours, and yet my brother had the face to exclaim, when he saw us descending, "What, done already?" On Sunday evenings, we used to be permitted to play, if we did not make much noise. Now a mere titter is sufficient to send us into corners. "You forget you have a master here," says the tyrant. "I'll demolish the first who puts me out of temper. I insist on perfect sobriety and silence." Oh boy. Was that you, Francis, darling? Pulling his hair as you go by? I heard him snap his fingers. Francis pulled his hair heartily, and then went and seated herself on her husband's knee. And there they were, like 2 babies, kissing and talking nonsense by the hour. Foolish palaver that we should be ashamed of. We made ourselves snug as our means allowed in the arch of the dresser. I had just fashioned our pinafores together and hung them up for a curtain when in comes Joseph on an errand from the stables. He tears down my handiwork, boxes my ears, and croaks. Oh. The master Nabbit just buried. And Sabbath o not o arid. All right. I can't even try to keep reading this. Whew. He says, the master just recently buried, and the Sabbath not over, and the sound of the gospel still in your ears, and you dare be larking about having fun. Shame on you. Wait, master is recently buried? The master of the house? Palaver, idle talk. Okay, thank you. Shame on you. Sit down, bad children. There are good books enough if you read them. Sit down and think of your souls. Ay, 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 ay. Saying this, he compelled us to square our positions that we might receive from the far off fire a dull ray to show us the text of the lumbar he thrust upon us. The lumber he thrust upon us. I could not bear the employment. I took my dingy volume by the scroop. The scroop. The back cover or spine of a book. Maybe a mistake of the word scruff. Interesting. And hurled it into the dog kennel, vowing I hated a good book. Heathcliff kicked his to the same place. And there was a hubbub. Maester Hindley, shouted our chaplain. Maester, come hither. Miss Carthy's riven the back off. The helmet on salvation. Are they throwing the Bible around? Heathcliff's paused his fit into the first part of the Broadway to destruction. It's fair flaysome. Yeah, let him go on this gate. Each the own man unlaced improperly, but he's gone. Oy, oy, oy. Master Hindley, shouted a chaplain. Master, come here. Miss Cathy's torn off the back of the Helmet of Salvation, a religious book, and Heathcliff's kicked his feet into the first part of the Broadway to Destruction, another book. It's frightening that you let them go on this way. The old man would have flogged them properly, but he's gone. Fortis's sermons. They can toss those across the room. I'm okay with them tossing those across the room. Oh, man. Okay. I need to pause to try to figure out characters real quick. Okay, so we have Heathcliff. Little boy Heathcliff. We have Joseph. Hindley and his wife. Are Hindley and the wife the masters of the house? Some of the characters are hard to figure out in this one. They're not anymore. Okay. All right. Cathy's big brother, recent master of the house because their dad died. Hindley is Catherine's older brother, just inherited Wuthering Heights. Okay, excellent. That helps. I was wondering who her brother was. Okay, Hindley is the brother. Hindley and Catherine. Hindley and wife. Interesting. How old are they right here? Hindley and his wife, that's maybe they're like, what are they, like 18, 19, 20 years old? I don't know. Hindley hurried up from his paradise on the hearth, and seizing one of us by the collar and the other by the arm, hurled both into the back kitchen, where Joseph asseverated, old Nick, the devil. The devil would fetch us as sure as we were living. And so comforted, we each ought a separate nook to await his advent. I reached this book and a pot of ink from a shelf and pushed the house door ajar to give me light. And I have got time on this with writings for 20 minutes, but my companion is impatient and proposes that we should appropriate the dairy woman's cloak and have a scamper on the moors under its shelter. A pleasant suggestion. And then if the surly old man come in, he may believe his prophecy verified. We cannot be damper or colder in the rain than we are here. I suppose Catherine filled her project, for the next sentence took up another subject. She waxed lachrymose. How little did I dream that Hindley would ever make me cry so, she wrote. My head aches till I cannot keep it on the pillow, and I still can't give over. Poor Heathcliff. Hindley calls him a vagabond and won't let him sit with us, nor eat with us any more. And he says he and I must not play together, and threatens to turn him out of the house if we break his orders. He has been blaming our father. How dared he for treating H too liberally, and swears he will reduce him to his right place. I began to nod drowsily over the dim page. My eye wandered from manuscript to print. I saw a red ornamented title. 7 times 7. 70 times 7. Matthew 18:21-22. And the first of the 77s, the unpardonable sin. A pious discourse delivered by the Reverend Jabes Branderham in the chapel of Gimmerden Sow. And while I was half-consciously worrying my brain to guess what Jabal Brandersaw would make of the subject, I sank back in my bed and fell asleep. Alas, for the effects of the bad tea had a bad temper, and a bad temper. What else could it be that made me pass such a terrible night? I don't remember another that can at all compare with it, since I was capable of suffering. I began to dream almost before I ceased to be sensible of my locality, and I thought it was morning, and I had set out on my way home with Joseph for a guide. The snow lay yards deep in our road, and as we floundered on, my companion wearied me with constant reproaches that I had not brought a pilgrim's staff, telling me I could never get into a house without one, and boastfully flourishing a heavy-handed cudgel, which I stood to be so denominated. For a moment I considered it absurd that I should need such a weapon to gain admittance into my own residence. Then a new idea flashed across me. I was not going there. We were journeying to hear the famous Jabes Branderheim preach from the text 70 times 7, and either Joseph, the preacher, or I had committed the first of the 77s, the first of the 71st, and were to be publicly exposed and excommunicated. What a dream. We came to the chapel. I have passed it really in my walks, twice or thrice. It lies in a hollow between two hills, an elevated hollow near a swamp, whose peaty moisture is said to answer all the purpose of embalming on the few corpses deposited there. The roof has been kept whole hitherto, but as the clergyman's stipend is only £20 per annum, and a house with 2 rooms threatening speedily to determine into one, no clergyman will undertake the duties of a pastor, especially as it is currently reported that his flock would rather let him starve than increase the living by 1 penny from their own pockets. However, in my dream, Jabes had a full and attentive congregation, and he preached, good God, what a sermon, divided into 490 parts, each fully equal to an ordinary address from the pulpit, and each discussing a separate sin. Where he searched for them, I cannot tell. He had his private manner of interpreting the phrase, and it seemed necessary the brother should sin different sins on every occasion. They were of the most curious character, odd transgressions that I never imagined previously. Oh, how weary I grew, how I writhed and yawned and nodded and revived, how I pinched and pricked myself and rubbed my eyes and stood up and sat down again, and nudged Joseph to inform me that he would inform me if he would ever have done. I was condemned to hear all out. Finally, he reached the first of the 71st. At that crisis, a sudden inspiration descended on me. I was moved to rise and denounce James Branderheim as the sinner of the sin that no Christian need pardon. Sir, I exclaimed, sitting here within these four walls at one stretch, I have endured and forgiven, and 490 heads of your discourse. 70 times 7 have I plucked up my hat and been about to depart. 70 times 7, I have you preposterous. 7 times you have you preposterously forced me to resume my seat. The 491st is too much. Fellow martyrs, have at him. Drag him down and crush him to atoms, that the place which knows him may come to know him no more. This is Job 7:10. And the place which knows him may know him no more. Ay, ay, ay. Jabez. Okay, interesting. This is horror. What is this weird dream? This whole book feels like a little bit of a fever dream. I'm so disoriented in this book. This chapter is weird. Thou art the man, cried Jabez, after a solemn pause, leaning over his cushion. 70 times 7 didst thou gapingly contort thy visage. 70 times 7 did I take counsel with my soul. Lo, this is human weakness. This also may be absolved. The first of the 71st is come. Brethren, execute upon him the judgment written. Such honor have all his saints. With that concluding word, the whole assembly, exalting their pilgrim staves, rushed round me in a body, and I, having no weapon to raise in self-defense, commenced grappling with Joseph, my nearest and most ferocious assailant. For his, in the confluence of the multitude, several clubs crossed. Blows aimed at me fell on other sconces. Presently, the whole chapel resounded with rappings and counter-rappings. Every man's hand was against his neighbor. And Branderham, unwilling to remain idle, poured forth his zeal in a shower of loud taps on the boards of the pulpit, which responded so smartly that, at last, to my unspeakable relief, they woke me. And what was it that had suggested the tremendous tumult? What had played Jabel's part in the row? Merely the branches of a fir tree that touched my lattice, and the blast wailed by, and rattled its dry cones against the panes. I listened, doubtingly an instant, detected the disturber, then turned and dozed, and dreamt again, if possible, still more disagreeable than before. This time I remembered I was lying in the oak closet, and I heard distinctly the gusty wind, and the driving of the snow, and I heard also the fir bough repeated its teasing sound, and ascribed it to the right cause. But it annoyed me so much that I resolved to silence it, if possible, and I thought I rose and endeavored to unhasp the casement. The hook was soldered into the staple, a circumstance observed by me when awake but forgotten. I must stop it, nevertheless, I muttered, knocking my knuckles through the glass and stretching an arm out to seize the importune branch, instead of which my fingers closed on my fingers of a little ice-cold hands. The intense horror of nightmare came over me. I tried to draw my arm back, but the hand clung to it, and a most melancholy voice sobbed, "Let me in, let me in." Elizabeth Gaskell writes of Charlotte that all the grim superstition of the norm had been implanted in her during. We assume that the other. All the superstitions of the north had been during her childhood by servants who believed in them. Weird and funky. Guys. What a dream. This is wild. Who are you? I asked, struggling, meanwhile, to disengage myself. Catherine Linton, it replied, shiveringly. Why did I think of Linton? I had read Earnshaw 20 times for Linton. I'm come home. I'd lost my way in the moor. As it spoke, I discerned obscurely a child's face looking through the window. Terror made me cruel, and finding it useless to attempt shaking off the creature, I pulled its wrist on the broken pane, and rubbed it to and fro till the blood ran down and soaked the bedclothes. Still it wailed, "Let me in," and maintained its tenacious gripe, almost maddening me with fear. "How can I said at length. "Let me go, if you want me to let you in." The fingers relaxed. I snatched mine through a hole, hurriedly piled the books up in a pyramid against it, and stopped my ears to exclude the lamentable prayer. I seemed to keep them closed above a quarter of an hour yet. The instant I listened again, there was a doleful cry moaning. Moaning on. "Begone," I shouted. "I'll never let you in. Not if you beg for 20 years. It's 20 years more in the voice. 20 years I've been away for 20 years. What the heck is going on? Yeah, this is a dream. I think this is a dream. But I don't know. This is a horror. Where are we? What is going on? Thareed began a feeble scratching outside, and the pile of books moved as it thrust forward. I tried to jump up, but could not stir a limb, and so yelled aloud in a frenzy of fright. To my confusion, I discovered the yell was not ideal. Footnote by ideal. Imaginary. Huh. Hasty footsteps approached my chamber door. Somebody pushed it open with a vigorous hand, and a light glimmered through the squares at the top of the bed. I sat shuddering yet, and wiping the perspiration from my forehead, the intruder appeared to hesitate, and muttered to himself. At last he said in a half whisper, plainly not expecting an answer, "Is anyone here?" I considered it best to confess my presence, for I knew Heathcliff's accents, and I feared he might search further if I kept quiet. With this intention, I turned and opened the panels. I shall not soon forget the effect my action produced. Wait, so huh? He crawls in the box in his dream, but was that really a dream because he's in the box? He's in this panel? He opens the panels? He seems to break a window. The books are in this dream. Does Heathcliff not let anybody go in this room because it's cursed? It's a bed box. Okay. So he opens the panels of the bed box. What the heck? This really is horror. So it's unclear. All right, let's keep reading. Um, Heathcliff stood near the entrance in his shirt and trousers with a candle dripping over his fingers, and his face as white as the wall behind him. The first creak of the oak startled him like an electric shock. Because he knows it's haunted. The light leaped from his hold to a distance of some feet, and his agitation was so extreme that he could hardly pick it up. "It is only your guest, sir," I called out, desirous to spare him the humiliation of exposing his cowardice further. I had the misfortune to scream in my sleep, owing to a frightful nightmare. "I'm sorry that I disturbed you." "Oh, God confound you, Mr. Lockwood. I wish you were at the," commenced my host, setting the candle on a chair because he found it impossible to hold it steady. "And who showed you up to this room?" he continued, crushing his nails into his palm and grinding his teeth to subdue the maxillary convulsions. "Who was it? I have a good mind to turn them out of this house this moment." "It was your servant Zillah," I replied, flinging myself onto the floor and rapidly resuming my garments. "I should not care if you did, Mr. Heathcliff. She richly deserves it. I suppose she wanted to get another proof that this place was haunted, at my expense. Well, it is, swarming with ghosts and goblins. You have reason in shutting it up, I assure you. No one will thank you for a doze in such a den." "What do you mean?" asked Heathcliff. "And what are you doing? Lie down and finish out the night, since you are here. But for heaven's sake, don't repeat that horrid noise. Nothing could excuse it unless you were having your throat cut," which he might have been. "If the little fiend had got in at the window, she probably would have strangled me," I returned. "I'm not going to endure the persecution of your hospitable ancestors again. Was not the Reverend Jabez Branderheim akin to you on the mother's side? And that minx Catherine Linton, or Earnshaw, or however she was called, she must have been a changeling. Wicked little soul. She told me she had been walking on the earth these 20 years. A just punishment for her mortal transgressions, I've no doubt." Scarcely were these words uttered when I recollected the association of Heathcliff's with Catherine's name in the book, which had completely slipped from my memory till thus awakened. I blushed at my inconsideration, but without showing further consciousness of the offense, I hastened to add, "The truth is, sir, I passed the first part of the night in—" Here I stopped afresh. I was about to say in perusing those old volumes, and it would have revealed my knowledge of their written, as well as their printed contents. So correcting myself, I went on. "In spelling over the names scratched on that window ledge, a monotonous occupation, calculated to set me asleep, like counting, or—" "What can you mean by talking in this way to me?" thundered Heathcliff with savage vehemence. How dare you under my roof? God, he's mad to speak so." And he struck his forehead with rage. I did not know whether to resent this language or pursue my explanation, but he seemed so powerfully affected that I took pity and proceeded with my dreams, affirming I had never heard the appellation of Catherine Linton before. But reading it often overproduced an impression which personified itself when I had no longer my imagination under control. Heathcliff gradually fell back into the shelter of the bed as I spoke, finally sitting down almost concealed behind it. I guessed, however, by his irregular and intercepted breathing that he struggled to vanquish an access of violent emotion. Not likely to show him that I heard the conflict, I continued my toilet rather noisily, looking at my watch, and soliloquized on the length of the night. Not 3 o'clock yet. I would have taken oath it had been 6. Time stagnates here. We must surely have retired to rest at 8. Always at 9 in winter. Always rise at 4, said my host, suppressing a groan. And, as I fancied, by the motions of his shadow's arm, dashing a tear from his eyes. There's so much weird stuff in the background of this. I just don't know what the heck is. Like, we're going to get this, I'm sure. Like, why there's tears in his eyes. Is it tears of madness? I think Toilet was washing. I think you're right. Or like getting ready. Or like putting his clothes on or something. He's just going to the bathroom as, as Heathcliff's freaking out right now. Mr. Lockwood, he added, you may go into my room. You'll be in the way coming down the stairs so early, and your childish outcry has sent sleep to the devil for me. And for me too, I replied. I'll walk in the yard till daylight, and then I'll be off, and you need not dread a repetition of my intrusion. I am now quite cursed of seeking pleasure in society, be it country or town. A sensible man ought to find sufficient company in himself. Delightful company, muttered Heathcliff. Take the candle and go where you please. I shall join you directly. Keep out of the yard, though. The dogs are unchained. And the house, Juno mounts sentinels there. And nay, you can only ramble about the steps and passages, but away with you. I'll come in 2 minutes. I obeyed. So far as to quit the chamber, when ignorant where the narrow lobbies led, I stood still, and was witness involuntarily to a piece of superstition on the part of my landlord, which belied oddly his apparent sense. He got on to the bed, and wrenched open the lattice, bursting, as he pulled at it, into an uncontrollable passion of tears. This is so weird. Come in, he sobbed. Kathy, do come. Oh, do once more. Oh, my heart's darling. Hear me this time. Catherine, at last. The spectre showed a spectre's ordinary caprice. It gave no sign of being, but the snow and wind whirled wildly through, even reaching my station and blowing out the light. What the heck is going on here? This is weird, guys. There was such anguish in the gush of grief that accompanied this raving that my compassion made me overlook its folly. And I drew off, half angry to have listened at all, and vexed at having related my ridiculous nightmare, since it produced that agony, though why was beyond my comprehension. Beyond my comprehension, too. I descended cautiously to the lower region, and landed in the back kitchen, where a gleam of fire, raked compactly together, enabled me to rekindle my candle. I would just hang out by that fire the entire time. It seemed freezing in this house. Nothing was stirring except a brindled gray cat, which crept from the ashes and saluted me with a querulous mew. 2 benches shaped in the section of a circle nearly enclosed the hearth. On one of these I stretched myself, and Grimalkin mounted the other. Excuse me? Name for a cat, especially, an old she-cat, as for example, the witch's cat in Macbeth. Grey Malkin. That's funny. The witch's cat is here. We were both of us nodding ere anyone invaded our retreat, and then it was Joseph shuffling down a wooden ladder that vanished in the roof, through a trap, the ascent to his garret, I suppose. He cast a sinister look at the little flame which I enticed to play between the ribs, swept the cat from its elevation, and bestowing himself in the vacancy, commenced the operation of stuffing a 3-inch pipe with tobacco. My presence in his sanctum was evidently esteemed a piece of impudence, too shameful for remark. He silently applied the tube to his lips, folded his arms, and puffed away. I let him enjoy the luxury, unannoyed, and after sucking out the last wreath and heaving a profound sigh, he got up and departed as solemn as he came. This is just horror. Ay, ay, ay. Like, there's so many horror elements of this. A more elastic footstep entered next, and now I opened my mouth for a good morning, but unclosed it again, the salutation unachieved. For Hareton Earnshaw was performing his orisons, sotto voce, sotto voce, sotto voce, a series of curses directed against every object he touched, while rummaged in a corner for a spade or shovel to dig through the drifts. He glanced over the back of the bench, dilating his nostrils, and thought as little of exchanging civilities with me as with my companion, the cat. I guessed by his preparations that egress was allowed, and he, leaving my hard couch, made a movement to follow him. He noticed this and thrust at an inner door with the end of his spade, intimating by an inarticulate sound that there was a place where I must go if I changed my locality. It opened into the house, where the females were already astir, Zillah urging flakes of flames up the chimney with a colossal bellows. Mrs. Heathcliff kneeling on the hearth, reading a book by the aid of the blaze. She held her hand interposed between the furnace heat and her eyes, and seemed absorbed in her occupation, desisting from it only to chide the servant for covering with her sparks, or to push away a dog, now and then, that snoozled its nose over forwardly into her face. I was surprised to see Heathcliff there also. He stood by the fires, his back toward me, just finishing a stormy scene to poor Zillah, who ever and anon interrupted her labor to pluck up the corner of her apron and heave an indignant groan. And you worthless, he broke out as I entered, turning to his daughter-in-law, and employing an epithet as harmless as a duck or sheep, but generally represented by a dash. Charlotte's comment in the editor's preface. The practice of hinting by single letters those expletives with which profane and violent people were wont to garnish their discourse strikes me as a proceeding which, however well meant, is weak and futile. There you are at your idle tricks again. The rest of them do earn their bread. You live on my charity. Put your trash away and find something to do. You shall pay me for the plague of having you eternally in my sight. Do you hear, damnable jade? This is... Guys, the people in this novel are wild. This is the last place on earth I would rather be. Again, my video is going to be, I would rather die in the moors, in a bog. I would rather fall into a bog than stay in Wuthering Heights for one night. It is just awful. These people are awful. It is dog eat dog, so to speak, but they're just... Man, so dysfunctional. Like, how do people get like this? Is this novel going to be about like how people become like this? Was Heathcliff like this for his whole life? What is going on? Ay, 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 ay. Generational trauma for sure. I know now. I know why you guys all voted for Jane Eyre. But I was like, no. We're gonna do Wuthering Heights. The movie just made me want to do this, and I'm actually still kind of enjoying it. Like this chapter, I don't enjoy that much. This chapter is weird to me. I feel like I'm gonna have to reread this chapter when I finish the novel, just to figure out what this chapter is really about. That dream was bizarre. So weird. I'm going to have to... Let me finish this chapter and then we'll talk. I'll put my trash away because you can make me. If I refuse, answered the young lady, closing her book and throwing it on a chair. But I'll not do anything, though you should swear your tongue out, except what I please. Heathcliff lifted his hand, and the speaker sprang to safer distance, obviously acquainted with its weight. Having no desire to be entertained by a cat and dog combat, I stepped forward briskly, as if eager to partake the warmth of the hearth, and innocent of any knowledge of the interrupted dispute. Each had enough decorum to suspend further hostilities. Heathcliff placed his fists, out of temptation, in his pockets. Yikes. Mrs. Heathcliff curled her lip and walked off to a seat far off, where she kept her word by playing the part of the statue during the remainder of my stay. That was not long. I declined joining their breakfast, and at the first gleam of dawn took an opportunity of escaping into the free air, now clear and still and cold as impalpable ice. My landlord hallooed for me to stop ere I reached the bottom of the garden, and offered to accompany me across the moor. It was well he did, for the whole hill back was one billowy white ocean. What? What? I know it snowed a lot, but his landlord offering to accompany him back. That is weird to me. That doesn't compute with me. Oh, yeah, maybe it's because he doesn't trust him. Okay, now that makes a little bit more sense. But he offers to accompany him across the moor. A man of contradictions. This feels like he has some kind of he's just very hot and cold. Like, even if he doesn't trust him, it's written in the sense of it's written in the sense that he's almost doing it appearing to be kind. This is weird. ... It was well he did, for the whole hill back was one billowy white ocean, the swells and falls not indicating corresponding rises and depressions in the ground. Many pits at least were filled to a level, entire ranges of mounds, the refuse of the quarries, blotted from the chart which my yesterday's walk left pictured in my mind. I had remarked on one side of the road, at intervals of 6 or 7 yards, a line of upright stones, continued through the whole length of the barren. These were erected and daubed with lime on purpose to serve as guides in the dark, and also when a fall like the present confounded the deep swamps on either hand with a firmer path, but excepting a dirty dot pointing up, here and there all traces of their existence had vanished, and my companion found it necessary to warn me frequently to steer to the right or left when I imagined I was following correctly the windings of the road. We exchanged a little conversation, and he halted at the entrance of Thrushcross Park, saying I could make no error there, or adieu were limited to limited to hasty bow. And then I pushed forward, trusting to my own resources, for the porter's lodge is untenanted as yet. The distance from the gate to the Grange is 2 miles. I believe I managed to make it 4, what with losing myself among the trees, and sinking up to the neck in snow, a predicament which only those who have experienced it can appreciate. At any rate, whatever were my wanderings, the clock chimed 12 as I entered the house, and that gave exactly an hour for every mile of the usual way from Wuthering Heights. Dang, that is a long journey. My human fixture and her satellites rushed to welcome me, exclaiming tumultuously that they had completely given up on me. Everybody conjectured that I perished last night, and they were wondering how they must set about the search for my remains. I bid them be quiet, now that they saw me returned, and, benumbed to the very heart, I dragged upstairs, whence, after putting on dry clothes and pacing to and fro 30 or 40 minutes, to restore the animal heat, I am adjourned to my study, feeble as a kitten, almost too much so to enjoy the cheerful fire and smoking coffee, which the servant has prepared for my refreshment. What? Oy, oy. This is going to be a journey through the moors. Wow. I did not like chapter 3. I loved chapter 1 and 2. I did not like chapter 3. Chapter 3 felt so weird to me. He's gonna have PTSD from one trip to Wuthering Heights. There's no place like home. This dude is miserable. Oy, oy, I am exhausted by this dude. Guys, I don't know. I have a lot that I'm going to make some videos on, but I got to say, this book is different from what I expected. I thought it was going to be depressing. I did not think it was going to be depressing and terrifying. Maybe that's another video. I knew this book was going to be depressing. I didn't know it was going to be depressing and terrifying. I am so intrigued to see how they got this way. I think that's actually a great point. The beginning of this chapter just leaves me with such intrigue. Like it's like watching a train wreck. You cannot turn your eyes away. Like, I don't want to keep reading because I don't want to hang out with these characters any longer than I have to. But I wouldn't mind seeing how they got to be this way. Man alive, man alive, man alive. Guys, this book is going to be a journey. Yeah. So far, zero romance. There's no romance in this. And any smidge. It goes to the pub, yeah. Yeah, June, I'm kind of with you in some sense. They are not likable at all. They're terrible. But they are complex, and I'm curious to see how they got to be this way. Honestly, complex is maybe not the right word for it. They are weird. They are weird. This is a weird one. The silences are heavy tonight. Oh, yeah. Imagine going to the pub and telling your friends about this dream that you had. Whew. Was that a dream? Had to be a dream. Had to be a dream, right? I don't know, but what the heck is going on in this novel? All right, guys, I'm jumping off because I need to go warm up my tea and have something really hot to eat and turn up the heat in my apartment. Because weirdly, They just got freezing in my apartment. I think it's just drafty. My heat needs to kick in. Which felt weirdly appropriate to reading this novel. About halfway through, I was going, why do I feel so cold? And I'm a little nervous of this supernatural right here. I like that you're leading into the supernatural element there. I feel like there's just a lot of ways to read this novel. Yeah, falling neck deep in snow and having ice water doused on you when it's freezing and it's snowing outside. Oy. All right, guys. Wow. Well, we're in for a journey in this novel. I'm excited to keep reading, but am I? This is gonna be a read. This is gonna be a read, guys. I will see you in the next one. I don't know. The next one's probably gonna be on Tuesday, I think. I probably can't do it on Monday. I think we'll do it on Tuesday. But wowzer, is this one gonna be rough? This is gonna be a train wreck. All right, guys. I'll see you on some other videos before then, but I'll see you on Tuesday. If not, we'll read another 3 chapters. Now, I probably won't get to the appendices tomorrow for Lord of the Rings, but because I still want to make a bunch of essays. I want to finish the essays that I have of Lord of the Rings before I get to the appendices. So I'll probably read the appendices next week, maybe next weekend, either next week or next weekend. I have a few essays that I have in the last chapter, but that's for that. Anyway, guys, that was fun. I really loved it. I had a great time with you guys, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.